Chapter 3508. Rumble. The blazing primal chaos ancient scripture exuded an ancient and mysterious aura, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Ling Xiao floated under the primal chaos ancient scripture. The aura around him was vast and boundless. He was like an invincible great emperor, exuding an invincible aura. That's the legendary primal chaos ancient scripture? Great Elder Life Spirit suddenly exclaimed. Her eyes were filled with disbelief and excitement. What? The primal chaos ancient scripture? Sun Daoyang was also shocked. As the great elders of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance, they knew some of the secrets of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. For example, the primal chaos ancient scripture was a supreme inheritance left behind by the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor. The 36 Sky Supreme Pagoda was a supreme treasure left behind by the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor. Ling Xiao had already obtained the 36 Sky Supreme Pagoda. Now that Ling Xiao had manifested the primal chaos ancient scripture, didn't that mean that Ling Xiao had obtained the inheritance of the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor? This news instantly caused an uproar on the Heavenly Tao Emperor Star. The great elders of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance were also extremely shocked. Even their attitude towards Ling Xiao had changed drastically. If that was the case, then Ling Xiao was the true master of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. Even if the previous alliance leader of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance reappeared, he wouldn't be able to stop it, let alone a mere young alliance leader, Yi Junlin. Rumble. Just as everyone was letting their imaginations run wild, the primal chaos ancient scripture released a boundless radiance, causing the surrounding sky to tremble violently. It was as if it had evolved into a primal chaos ancient world, enveloping Ling Xiao within it. Although Yi Junlin's great nirvana lifeless golden light seemed to be able to destroy everything, it was instantly enveloped by the primal chaos ancient world and shot towards the primal chaos ancient scripture. Buzz. The primal chaos ancient scripture buzzed and trembled. It actually swallowed the incomparably strange great nirvana lifeless golden light. What? Yi Junlin's body trembled. His eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. The great nirvana lifeless golden light could kill even a peak ninth heaven immortal emperor. It was one of Yi Junlin's strongest trump cards. Originally, he thought that even if Ling Xiao did not die, he would be severely injured. Who would have thought that Ling Xiao would be able to block it so easily? Take one of my attacks as well. The corners of Ling Xiao's mouth curled into a smile that was not a smile, and his voice boomed like thunder. Boom. Boundless chaotic light rose, and the ancient chaotic world seemed to fuse directly into Ling Xiao's palm. An ancient and vigorous chaotic palm print covered the sky and pressed down on Yi Junlin. That chaotic palm print enveloped the Heavenly Tao Emperor Star and the 3,000 Supreme Stars. It was as if it had covered the entire celestial realm. Yi Junlin had no room to dodge at all. Damn it! Yi Junlin's expression turned ugly. He hadn't expected Ling Xiao to obtain the inheritance of the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor. He felt a strong sense of crisis as the palm pressed down on him. It was as if he was facing a supreme celestial emperor. Kill! Yi Junlin roared. Blazing golden light rose around him. An ancient cauldron appeared above his head, blooming with boundless light. At the same time, he pushed out his arms. Strange runes intertwined and turned into 9 world barriers. They were connected by a powerful restrictive force and blocked in front of Ling Xiao. Crack! The chaos palm print came crashing down. The ancient cauldron trembled violently. It was an extremely powerful quasi-immortal emperor's supreme treasure. It was terrifying and had an extremely strong defensive power. However, under the chaotic palm print, the ancient cauldron broke inch by inch. The runes were annihilated, and in the end, it collapsed with a loud bang. Even the 9-layer world barrier was destroyed inch by inch as if it was made of paper. In the end, Ling Xiao's terrifying chaotic palm landed on Yi Junlin's chest, drowning him completely. Rumble. Blazing divine light surged, and the void all around trembled. Is Yi Junlin dead? First Elder Life Spirit exchanged glances with Sun Daoyang and the others. Their eyes were filled with grave expressions. The chaotic palm print from the chaotic ancient scripture was too terrifying. It made their scalps tingle, and they couldn't resist it at all. Although Yi Junlin was strong, he probably couldn't block this palm, right? Boom. Right at this moment, the sky seemed to have shattered. The endless chaotic void seemed to be dyed black. A dark aura gushed out, and a black ancient cauldron appeared in the sky above the heavenly Tao Emperor star. Yi Junlin stood under the black ancient cauldron. His entire body was dark, and he exuded an aura that was incompatible with this world. His entire person became demonic and cold, and his eyes were filled with cold light. Creature of darkness. Yi Junlin, you're finally not hiding anymore? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he said indifferently, "What?" Everyone was stunned. They were instantly in an uproar. The young alliance master of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance, Yi Junlin, was actually a creature of darkness? This was simply a fantasy. Since when did the creatures of darkness infiltrate so deeply into the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance and almost take complete control of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance? Thinking of this, everyone felt incomparably fearful. Ling Xiao, you ruined my plans. You deserve to die. Yi Junlin's expression was gloomy, and his eyes were filled with cold, killing intent as he stared at Ling Xiao. There was a strange trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Although he looked dark and evil, his aura was extremely chaotic. It was obvious that he had been severely injured. If it weren't for the protection of the Dark Origin Cauldron, which was an emperor artifact from his previous life, he would probably have been killed by Ling Zhao's chaotic palm print. Even so, he still suffered an unimaginable injury. Yi Junlin, you rats who only know how to hide in the ancient darkness world dare to touch my Heavenly Tao Business Alliance? You're courting death. Ling Xiao sneered, and his eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. Ling Xiao, you ruin my plans. When I recover my cultivation, I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death. Yi Junlin said through gritted teeth. The Dark Origin Cauldron emitted a strange black demonic light. In an instant, it opened up a part of the sky and tore a passage. He was actually preparing to escape. After all, no matter how strong Ling Xiao was, he didn't know what other trump cards the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance had. Therefore, he was prepared to leave this place first. You want to leave? You'd better leave your life behind. Ling Zhao's gaze was extremely cold. Boom. The ground beneath his feet suddenly shook, and the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda emitted a mysterious light. Streaks of immortal light spread out like divine chains of order. The ancient Supreme Pagoda mightily suppressed Yi Junlin. Chapter 3509. Rumble. The 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda seemed to contain the mighty power of 36 universes as it pressed down on Yi Junlin. Its terrifying aura seemed to be able to tear the heavens and earth apart. Damn it! Yi Junlin's expression changed drastically. The terrifying power of the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda made his scalp go numb. He had a feeling that a great disaster was about to befall him. Without hesitation, he activated the Dark Origin Cauldron with all his might and broke through the layers of void to escape. But it was too late. The 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda sealed everything like a dazzling curtain of chaos as it slammed into the Dark Origin Cauldron. The Dark Origin Cauldron trembled violently as blazing light spewed out. Boundless dark energy exploded and swept out in all directions like a vast ocean. That strange and evil aura caused everyone's faces to turn pale. It was as if they had sunk into the depths of hell. Yi Junlin's expression changed drastically as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura instantly weakened. Even the Darkness Origin Cauldron began to buzz and tremble. Dark runes began to shatter one after another, and the cauldron began to lose its luster. Yi Junlin's eyes were filled with unconcealable fear. The Dark Origin Cauldron was a supreme Dark Emperor weapon that he had refined. Its power was boundless, but he had never expected the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda to be so powerful. No wonder he was once the strongest person in the eternal immortal domain, the Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor. It seemed like the Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor had touched the legendary realm. Otherwise, the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda wouldn't be so terrifying. Even the Dark Origin Cauldron couldn't resist it. Ling Zhao's eyes were incomparably cold. His voice was like a thunderclap that shook the chaotic void. The 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda shone with blazing divine light that seemed capable of destroying everything as it once again pressed down on Yi Junlin. The Dark Origin Cauldron trembled violently. Under the suppression of the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda, its light dimmed and cracks appeared. In the end, the Dark Origin Cauldron let out an unwilling hum as it was swallowed by the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda. Under Yi Junlin's fearful and despairing gaze, the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda descended and completely engulfed him. No! Yi Junlin's unwilling and fearful voice abruptly stopped. His entire body instantly exploded, turning into a bloody mist. Even though he was at the peak of the 9th heaven of the quasi-immortal Emperor realm and had many trump cards, he was still unable to withstand the suppression of the 36 Heavens Supreme Tower. Boom! His body exploded, his primordial spirit was destroyed, and his soul dispersed. Yi Junlin is really dead. Everyone on the Heavenly Law Emperor Star was stunned. They looked at the figure in the sky in awe. They were in a daze. They had not expected Yi Junlin to die so easily. Yi Junlin's strength had long been deeply imprinted in the hearts of everyone in the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to subdue Sun Daoyang and the others and make them support Yi Junlin to become the alliance leader. But now he was still dead. He died miserably in the hands of Ling Xiao. What Yi Junlin? He's clearly a creature of darkness. That damned creature of darkness actually wants to encroach on my Heavenly Dao Business Union? If it weren't for Lord Ling Xiao, our Heavenly Dao Business Alliance would have been consigned to eternal damnation. Someone said angrily. Only then did everyone come back to their senses. Their eyes were filled with fear. That's right. If Ling Xiao hadn't intervened, the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance would have fallen into the hands of the creature of darkness. They would have been corrupted by darkness and turned against the eternal immortal domains. They would have been reduced to puppets for all eternity. That would have been a fate worse than death. Ling Xiao, he really killed Yi Junlin. Cold sweat dripped down Sun Daoyang's face. Light flickered around him, and he wanted to tear open the void and escape. After all, he was Yi Junlin's loyal follower. He believed that Ling Xiao wouldn't let him go. If he didn't leave now, he would be dead for sure. Sun Daoyang, you've fallen into darkness and betrayed the eternal immortal domains. Do you think you can just walk away like this? Ling Zhao's gaze fell on Sun Daoyang as he spoke with a half-smile. Then the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda shook slightly and shot out divine chains of order. They traversed the void and wrapped around Sun Daoyang's body in an instant. Boom! Sun Daoyang's peak 9th heaven quasi-immortal emperor cultivation base burst forth. Boundless waves of divine light surged, but he couldn't break free from the divine chains of order. His face was ashen, and his eyes were filled with despair. Ling Xiao, the winner takes all. Sun Daoyang, admit defeat. Sun Daoyang said unwillingly. If you had only followed Yi Junlin, then it would have been an internal struggle within the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance. Although it was despicable, you still had a reason to live. However, you shouldn't have fallen into darkness and become a puppet of darkness. Therefore, I have no choice but to ask you to die. Ling Zhao's gaze was incomparably cold. Boom! The 36 Heavens Supreme Tower crushed down on Sun Daoyang. Chaotic light surged, and a vast illusory world appeared. Terrifying, boundless power erupted. Dense power of darkness seeped out from his body, making him look extremely ferocious as he kept cursing. Sun Daoyang let out an incomparably miserable shriek as his body exploded. The first elder of the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance was dead. Sun Daoyang has fallen into darkness. Damn it. First Elder Life Spirit was also very surprised. His eyes were filled with anger. If he hadn't brought Ling Xiao back, the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance would have been doomed. His eyes were filled with excitement and joy as he looked at Ling Xiao. First Elder Life Spirit and the other First Elders looked at each other and seemed to have made a decision. At this moment, they all knelt on one knee before Ling Xiao. We pay our respects to the Alliance leader. We pay our respects to the Alliance leader. Apart from the dead Sun Daoyang, the other 35 First Elders, led by First Elder Life Spirit, knelt down one after another. Their voices were like thunder, spreading throughout the heavenly Tao Emperor Star. Seeing that the 35 First Elders had knelt down, the surrounding experts of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance no longer hesitated and knelt down like a tsunami. We pay our respects to the Alliance leader. We pay our respects to the Alliance leader. The entire Heavenly Tao Business Alliance had completely submitted. In the void, Ling Xiao stood atop the 36 Heavens Supreme Tower. His eyes were incomparably sharp, and his entire body exuded an invincible aura. His stature was boundless, and it seemed as if he could prop up the chaos of heaven and earth. Everyone rise. Ling Xiao only spoke slowly after everyone's voices had died down. He had become the alliance leader of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance and completely controlled this supreme power. From now on, in the eternal immortal domain, unless an immortal emperor appeared, he stood at the absolute peak. Chapter 35:10. Ling Xiao became the new leader of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance, and everyone submitted to him. Ling Xiao promoted Great Elder Life to the number 1 Great Elder of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. She was second only to him and above everyone else. Sun Daoyang, the original number 1 Great Elder, was killed by Ling Xiao. Although the other Great Elders had submitted to Sun Daoyang and Yi Junlin, they did not fall into darkness. Seeing that Ling Xiao had become the new leader of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance, they were shocked and worried. They all expressed their loyalty. Ling Xiao dismissed a few of Sun Daoyang's trusted subordinates and promoted several powerful quasi-immortal emperors who were imprisoned by Sun Daoyang and Yi Junlin. As a result, Ling Xiao completely controlled the entire Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. After Ling Xiao controlled the entire Heavenly Tao Business Alliance, he went into seclusion. The Heavenly Tao Business Alliance controlled a perfect eternal realm. There was an origin source world tree that contained the complete eternal Heavenly Tao law. Yi Junlin had also entered the eternal realm before, which was why his cultivation could improve so quickly. That was one of the foundations of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. Only the leader could enter it. Ling Xiao entered the eternal realm. His origin source world tree had already opened up the embryonic form of a chaotic world. It was mysterious and unfathomable. In the eternal realm, not only did he begin to integrate with the origin source world tree, but his cultivation also improved by leaps and bounds. Ling Xiao was already at the peak of the 7th heaven of the quasi-immortal emperor realm. In the eternal realm, his cultivation speed increased by hundreds and thousands of times. Almost naturally, his cultivation broke through to the 9th heaven of the quasi-immortal emperor realm. He was only one step away from the true supreme immortal emperor realm. Is this the 9th heaven of the quasi-immortal emperor realm? An ancient and majestic world tree took root in the chaos. Immortal light was ethereal, and chaos mist lingered around it. Its aura was terrifying and boundless. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged under the world tree and slowly opened his eyes. 2 bright and sharp rays of light bloomed in his eyes. It was as if they had pierced through the sky and destroyed the chaos. They were eternal and immortal. His aura became more and more ethereal and mysterious. Ling Xiao could faintly sense that there was an unfathomably deep abyss before him. As long as he could cross it, he would be able to reach the immortal emperor realm. However, his current accumulation was still insufficient to cross that abyss. If he forcefully broke through, there was an 80% to 90% chance that he would fail. He still needed more accumulation and a deeper foundation. Master said that my opportunity to become an immortal emperor is in the great desolation world. It seems like it's time for me to return. Ling Zhao's eyes flickered as he muttered to himself. His heart was filled with endless longing. I wonder how Jin Sei, Shui Wei, and that pair of adorable children are doing? Ling Xiao was now the lord of the Heaven Tao Business Alliance, one of the most powerful organizations in the eternal immortal domains. In fact, it was comparable to the Radiance Immortal Court in the Central Immortal Domain. Although the previous alliance master had fallen and there were no more celestial emperors, Ling Xiao could feel that the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's foundation was extremely terrifying. Even if an celestial emperor powerhouse were to forcefully attack, they would not be able to gain any advantage. Ling Xiao slowly got up and tore open the void before him. He left this everlasting realm and returned to the Heavenly Law Emperor Star. Outside, Grand Elder Life Force was waiting. Grand Elder, what's the matter? Ling Xiao was taken aback. Grand Elder Life Force's eyes were filled with excitement and joy when he saw Ling Xiao emerge from seclusion. His cultivation base had become even more unfathomable. He said to Ling Xiao, "Alliance Master, the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance of the Radiance Immortal Court just sent a message. The little princess of the Radiance Immortal Court, Di Hongwan, is asking for help. She wants you to go to the Radiance Immortal Court. She seems to be in trouble." Di Hongwan? What's wrong with her? Ling Xiao frowned. Di Hongwan had helped him a lot, and he considered her a friend. When he first came to the Heavendao Business Alliance, Di Hongwan had asked him to visit the Radiance Immortal Court when he had the time. It seemed that the Radiance Immortal Court was in trouble. According to their information, the Celestial Emperor of the Radiance Immortal Court has encountered the 5 signs of heavenly decay and is in seclusion. Right now, the Radiance Immortal Court is at its weakest. Originally, the Radiance Crown Prince was about to inherit the throne, but a branch prince, Di Tian, suddenly rose up and defeated the Radiance Crown Prince, Di Guangming. Di Hongwan is naturally on Di Guangming's side. It seems that she had a conflict with Di Tian and was injured. According to Grand Elder Feng Hui, Di Tian and Yi Junlin used to have a close relationship. Grand Elder Life Force said slowly. Grand Elder Feng Hui was the Grand Elder of the Heavendao Business Alliance stationed in the Radiance Immortal Court. He used to be Sun Daoyang and Yi Junlin's most loyal subordinate. After Sun Daoyang and Yi Junlin died, he was terrified. Therefore, he revealed many secrets and showed his loyalty to Ling Xiao. He temporarily kept his position as the Grand Elder. Are you suspecting that Di Tian is also related to the dark creature? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply. It's very possible. Grand Elder Life Force said slowly with a serious expression. Ling Xiao nodded. He understood Grand Elder Life Force's concern. If Di Tian only wanted to compete with Di Guangming for the throne, it was an internal matter of the Radiance Immortal Court. The Heavendao Business Alliance could not interfere. However, Di Tian had a close relationship with Yi Junlin. It was very likely that he was a dark creature. If the Radiance Immortal Court was controlled by a dark creature, it would be a major matter. Moreover, Ling Xiao and Di Hongwan were close. Whether it was for public or private reasons, he had to take care of this matter. I understand. I'll make a trip to the Radiance Immortal Court now. If Di Tian really is a dark creature, I won't let him go. Ling Xiao nodded and said, with the Alliance leader personally taking action, there's no chance of anything going wrong. Grand Elder Life Force smiled faintly. After the Radiance Immortal Court's matters are settled, I'll make a trip to the Chaos Sea. There are some things I need to take care of. There's a path for me to seek enlightenment, Ling Xiao said slowly. A path for you to seek enlightenment. Grand Elder Life Force trembled. His eyes shone with excitement and joy. Congratulations, Alliance Leader. If you become an immortal emperor, you'll definitely shine brightly in the eternal immortal domains. At that time, it won't be impossible for you to rule over the eternal immortal domains like the primordial chaos immortal emperor. Once I've attained enlightenment, I'll settle the matter of the ancient darkness world. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply, revealing an incomparably strong desire to fight. He knew how powerful the ancient darkness world was. It could be said to be the eternal immortal court's mortal enemy. Although countless immortal emperors couldn't deal with it, Ling Xiao was full of confidence and confidence. However, Ling Xiao was filled with fighting spirit and confidence. He was prepared to deal with the ancient darkness world once and for all. Boom! Ling Xiao exuded an incomparably powerful aura. With a wave of his hand, he tore apart the space before him and stepped into it, heading toward the Radiance Immortal Court. Chapter 35:11. In the Light Immortal Court. In the Heavenly Palace. In the Light Palace. This was an extremely majestic and huge immortal palace. It was located in the chaos and was surrounded by divine light. Auspicious chi rose and exuded an immortal and mysterious light. This was where the supreme authority of the Light Immortal Court was. The Light Emperor Lord summoned all his officials here to deal with important matters. However, at this moment, the Light Palace was filled with bloody light and a murderous aura. There were shouts and screams all around and an intense battle could be heard. In the Light Palace, a handsome young man wearing the light immortal armor was surrounded by light chaotic chi. However, his face was extremely pale. He held an immortal sword in his hand and fell powerlessly on the stone steps. In front of him was Di Hongwan, who was wearing a red armor that outlined her perfect figure. Her face was ferocious and her eyes were cold. She led a group of powerful and loyal soldiers and guarded the young man in the center. Hongwan, leave. The outcome is already decided. Di Tian is powerful and ruthless. You and I can't defeat him. If you leave now, he won't hurt you. It's worth it to use my life in exchange for the safety of the Light Immortal Court. The young man in the light immortal armor said with a bitter smile. He was the crown prince of the Light Immortal Court, Di Guangming. Originally, the immortal emperor of the Light Immortal Court was in seclusion and he was destined to ascend the throne and become the Light Emperor. However, he didn't expect Di Tian, a crown prince of the Light Immortal Court, to suddenly rise. Not only did he win the hearts of many important people, he even attacked the throne. Even the crown prince of the light chaotic body, Di Guangming, who was extremely talented and powerful, was severely injured by Di Tian. As a result, Di Guangming and Di Hongwan were defeated and finally retreated to the Light Palace. Outside, Di Tian was launching his final attack on the Light Palace. No, big brother, the position of Celestial Emperor was originally yours. Who does that Di Tian think he is? If he didn't use despicable means to injure you, he wouldn't be your opponent at all. Today, no matter what, I won't let him touch the throne. Di Hongwan said stubbornly. Her eyes were filled with determination. She didn't know why, but a silhouette appeared in her mind. It was that handsome, elegant, and undefeatable young man. Ling Xiao. Could he really make it in time? If Ling Xiao was here, he might be able to deal with Di Tian easily. But now, he probably couldn't wait for Ling Xiao. Rumble. At this moment, a loud sound broke Di Hongwan's train of thought. Outside the Light Palace, two golden-armored warriors spat out blood as they flew in, their eyes filled with shock and anger. They were Ming Feng and Ming Dian, the two supreme experts who were guarding the Radiant Palace. They were both Seventh Heaven quasi-immortal emperors. Even the two of them had been defeated? As expected, from outside the Light Palace, a group of people walked in majestically. The leader was a young man in a black dragon robe. He had a handsome face and looked extremely demonic. His eyes seemed to contain the strange scenes of 3,000 worlds being destroyed. He walked over with a majestic gait, and even the heavens and earth trembled. Divine chains of order descended, causing the entire Hall of Light to rumble. Obviously, he possessed an extremely terrifying physique that could make the Daos of the world resonate with him. Every single move he made possessed supreme might that could suppress all things. He was Di Tian. Di Tian's gaze fell on Di Hongwan and Di Guangming. He said mockingly, "Are you still going to resist? The two of you have extraordinary talents. If you submit to me now, I can spare your lives. Otherwise, the Light Palace will be stained with blood today." He revealed his ninth heaven quasi-immortal emperor cultivation. It swept across the sky and suppressed Di Guangming and Di Hongwan. Although Di Guangming was also a ninth heaven quasi-immortal emperor, he was severely injured and had yet to recover. As for Di Hongwan, she was only a third heaven quasi-immortal emperor. She couldn't withstand Di Tian's terrifying aura. Di Tian, you despicable and shameless person. If you didn't use such despicable means, how could you be my brother Guangming's match? Do you think you're worthy of the throne? Di Hongwan glared at Di Tian and said angrily, "It's not up to you to decide whether I'm worthy or not. The winner takes all. Looks like you've chosen to resist? Theon sneered. Then, let's fight. If you win, my life is yours. But you have to let Hong Wan go. If you lose, you have to leave the Light Palace. What do you think? Di Guangming held the light immortal sword in his hand and struggled to stand up. His eyes were sharp and filled with an unparalleled fighting spirit. You still have the courage to fight me at this point? Di Guangming, you're really good. Very good, I'll fulfill your wish. Theon sneered. Brother, no. Di Hongwan panicked and tried to stop him. Hongwan, listen to me. This is our last chance. I'm sure you know how powerful Di Tian is. I'm the only one who can fight him now. Di Guangming sighed and said seriously to Di Hongwan. Brother, we still have a chance. When that person comes, we'll be able to turn the tables. Di Hongwan said stubbornly. That person? Di Hongwan, do you really think that there's someone who can save you now? Di Tian laughed out loud. The mockery in his eyes became even more intense. Who says that no one can save them? At this moment, an indifferent and ethereal voice exploded in the Light Palace. Who's there? Di Tian's expression changed and he suddenly roared. Crack! Outside the Light Palace, the chaotic void was directly torn apart by an unparalleled mighty force. Under the blazing light, a majestic and mysterious figure strode out from it. Di Tian's eyes suddenly narrowed. The chaotic void outside the Light Palace had a supreme immortal emperor formation set up by the immortal emperor ancestors of the Light Immortal Court. Even he could not tear it apart. That figure could tear the void apart so easily and come here. Could it be that he was a true supreme immortal emperor? Rumble. Chaotic light surged and his aura was unfathomable. The figure gradually revealed his true appearance. He was dressed in white and stood out from the crowd. He had an ethereal temperament and a handsome face. His eyes seemed to contain an endless chaotic starry sky. The river of time flowed around him and he exuded an eternal and immortal aura. Who else could it be but Ling Xiao? Ling Xiao? Di Hongwan's body trembled and her eyes were filled with surprise. She did not expect Ling Xiao to be here. Ling Xiao? Di Tian's entire body trembled as well. An expression as if he had just seen a ghost appeared in his eyes. He never thought that the person who had arrived would be Ling Xiao. Chapter 35:12. Di Tian would never have guessed that it was Ling Xiao. Should I call you Di Tian? Or should I call you the wordless heavenly book? Or perhaps, the creature of darkness? Ling Xiao's eyes glowed brightly as he looked at Di Tian and said indifferently. When Di Tian had recognized him, he had also recognized Di Tian's true identity. The weapon spirit of the wordless heavenly book. He had never imagined that the weapon spirit of the wordless heavenly book would not have remained in the eldritch world, but had crossed the boundless chaos sea and come to the eternal immortal domains. And he had become the prince of the Radiance Immortal Court, Di Tian? Just as Di Hongwan had guessed, Ling Xiao sensed a thick aura of the origin of darkness from Di Tian. He really was the creature of darkness. What? Di Guangming and Di Hongwan both shuddered. Although they did not know what the weapon spirit of the wordless heavenly book was, they had heard of the creature of darkness clearly. Di Tian was the creature of darkness? Ling Xiao, you're really haunting me. I never thought that I would run into a jinx like you wherever I go. Today, let's settle all our grudges. The weapon spirit of the wordless heavenly book glared at Ling Xiao, his eyes filled with hatred. In the eldritch world, he had schemed for countless years, but in the end, he had failed miserably and suffered a great loss at Ling Xiao's hands. Even the opportunity to enter the eternal world had been taken away by Ling Xiao. He had gone through untold hardships to come to the eternal immortal domains, and with the support of the creature of darkness, he had become the prince of the Radiance Immortal Court. Just as he was about to become the Radiance Emperor and take control of the Radiance Immortal Court, he had run into Ling Xiao again. His hatred for Ling Xiao had reached a boiling point. You're right. Today we're going to settle all our grudges. You should also submit to your fate. Ling Xiao's eyes were calm as he spoke. Rumble. At the same time, Di Tian could not hold back any longer. Murderous aura rose around him, and a terrifying killing intent filled the air, enveloping the entire Radiance Palace. His cultivation base at the 9th level of the Immortal Emperor realm erupted completely. An ancient halberd appeared in his hand and he slashed down towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was stunned. His eyes were filled with hatred. His eyes were filled with hatred. He displayed his most powerful combat strength, which made Di Honghuan pale in fright. Di Guangming's expression was grave. Before this, Di Guangming was still unconvinced of Di Tian's strength. However, at this moment, he had no choice but to admit that Di Tian was still terrifyingly strong even without resorting to underhanded means. That halberd exuded a monstrous baleful aura, and a surging emperor's aura enveloped the area. It was clearly an incomparably terrifying emperor's weapon. He was determined to kill Ling Xiao directly. Too weak, Ling Xiao said indifferently. After that, he slammed his palm down towards Di Tian. The heavens and earth rumbled as thunderbolts surged. The heavens and earth in all directions trembled violently, as if a monstrous giant palm had descended from the primordial chaos. The huge palm print seemed to be able to destroy everything. It exuded an eternal and indestructible aura, enveloping the monstrous baleful aura. Boom! The unparalleled palm print slammed onto the ancient halberd, causing the ancient halberd to tremble violently, and cracks began to appear on it. In the end, the ancient halberd shattered into pieces. The palm print did not lose its momentum and continued to slash down towards Di Tian. No! Di Tian's eyes were filled with disbelief, and a sense of helplessness surged in his heart. He did not expect Ling Xiao to be so strong. That kind of strength made him feel as if he was facing an unparalleled immortal emperor. His resistance was so laughable. Boom! Under Ling Xiao's indifferent gaze, the palm print landed directly on Di Tian's body. Instantly, Di Tian's body was like a spiderweb as dense cracks appeared all over his body. Then, Di Tian exploded. A black figure appeared. His face was twisted and filled with hatred as he glared at Ling Xiao. However, he was trapped in Ling Xiao's palm and could not break free at all. Ling Xiao, you and I are both at the 9th level of the Immortal Emperor realm. Why are you so much stronger than me? I can't accept this, I can't accept this. Di Tian roared angrily. This is your destiny. Wake up. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Then, he slammed his palm down, suppressing Di Tian in the 36 Heavens Supreme Stomps. Ling Xiao's gaze landed on the people behind Di Tian, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Those people had also been infected by darkness and had sunk into it. Kill! Ling Xiao roared, and the unparalleled palm print enveloped the entire hall of light, trapping everyone within. Boom! Those people's eyes were filled with panic. They wanted to escape, but they could not. Under Ling Xiao's unparalleled palm print, they all exploded into pieces. Their flesh and blood were all destroyed, revealing their hideous primordial spirits of darkness. Then they were all destroyed by Ling Xiao. The entire hall of light was cleared. Brother Ling Xiao, you're too strong. Di Honghuan's eyes widened. Her eyes were filled with excitement and disbelief. Although she knew that Ling Xiao was strong, Di Tian was still at the 9th level of the Immortal Emperor realm. She did not expect Ling Xiao to be so strong. Even Di Tian had been suppressed by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had already shown that he was invincible. It would not be long before he could ascend to the Immortal Emperor realm and dominate the entire immortal domain. Thank you, Brother Ling Xiao. Di Guangming also bowed solemnly to Ling Xiao. He had the radiant chaotic body and was the crown prince of the radiant immortal court. Although he appeared humble, he was extremely proud. However, in front of Ling Xiao, the arrogance in his heart was shattered. Even he had to admit that he was inferior to Ling Xiao. You're welcome, Ling Xiao said with a smile. Since there's a dark creature like Di Tian hiding in the radiant immortal court, there must be other dark creatures. Therefore you must purge them well. Do not let them infiltrate. I still have matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first. Ling Xiao said seriously. The infiltration of the dark creatures was extremely terrifying. Even the Heavenly Law Business Alliance and the Radiant Immortal Court had been infiltrated. It was clear how bad the situation in the Eternal Immortal Domain was. "Brother Ling Xiao, are you leaving now?" Di Hongwan's eyes were filled with reluctance. "I have other matters to attend to. The ancient darkness world has been moving more frequently recently. You must be prepared. I'm afraid that a war will break out soon. When that time comes, the entire Eternal Immortal Domain will be engulfed in the flames of war." Ling Xiao said seriously. "Thank you for the reminder, Brother Ling Xiao." Di Guangming said with a solemn expression. "I'm leaving." Ling Xiao nodded at Di Guangming and Di Hongwan, then turned and left the Radiant Palace. Now that the matter in the Radiant Immortal Court was settled, he would return to the Eldritch world to search for his opportunity to ascend. How were Jin Sei, Shui Wei, and his adorable children? Ling Zhao's heart was filled with longing. After leaving the Radiant Immortal Court, he used the greater teleportation technique and moved toward the depths of the Chaos Sea. Chapter 35:13. Chaos Sea. The Chaos Sea was vast and boundless. Even an immortal king or a half-immortal emperor would not be able to see the end of it. Ling Xiao did not know if an immortal emperor could see the vastness of the Chaos Sea. The Chaos Sea was the final destination of all living universes. It was also the birthplace of all living beings and universes. Countless universes were born and destroyed here. Countless living beings evolved, intertwining to form a vast epic. Ling Xiao was already a ninth heaven half-immortal emperor expert. However, his immensely powerful spirit consciousness was still restricted in the Chaos Sea. In the Chaos Sea, waves surged and broke through the 9 heavens. The void shook and heaven and earth were destroyed. The terrifying power of laws seemed to be able to annihilate everything. When Ling Xiao had crossed the Chaos Sea with the body of the previous king, he had experienced countless dangers. It could be said that he had narrowly escaped death. But now, his strength had increased by more than 100 times. With his current level of cultivation, ordinary dangers could no longer do anything to him. However, Ling Xiao could still sense that there was a power hidden in the sea that made his scalp tingle. Even though he was a half-immortal Emperor Ninth Heaven expert and could clearly sense the location of the Eldritch world, it still took him more than 100 years to reach the depths of the Chaos Sea. He found an ancient and mysterious world not far away. That world glowed with resplendent light and gave off an eternal aura. It was filled with a vast chaotic airflow that constantly expanded into the surroundings. That was the Eldritch world. It was also the eternal world. Eldritch world, Ling Xiao, am back. Standing in the Chaos Sea and looking at the vast Eldritch world, Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with excitement and surprise. The Eldritch world had evolved into the eternal world. From now on, it would no longer be threatened by the birth and death of other worlds. As long as the Chaos Sea was not destroyed, the Eldritch world would exist forever. And now, the Eldritch world was more than 100 times bigger than when Ling Xiao had left. This was because after the Eldritch world evolved into the eternal world, it would constantly devour chaos energy and expand. Perhaps one day, the Eldritch world would become as vast as the eternal immortal domains. Boom! Ling Xiao took a step forward and instantly appeared in the Eldritch world. The Eldritch world trembled violently, emitting a mysterious and vast divine sound of the great Tao. It was like a great bell, causing the entire world to shake. All the creatures and cultivators in the untainted world trembled all over at this moment. Like ants looking up at a divine dragon, they raised their heads unconsciously. A few of the old monsters with terrifying strength who had reached the martial monarch realm were astounded. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. Then, what realm is this expert at? Could it be a sovereign? Even a Tao Lord wouldn't be able to exert such terrifying pressure. A single thought was enough to make us lose control of our lives. Who exactly is it that has come to the great desolate world? Many of the utmost powerful beings felt as though a calamity was about to befall them. Their eyes were filled with fear. However, that feeling only lasted for an instant before it disappeared. Ling Xiao withdrew his aura and instantly appeared hundreds of millions of miles away. He arrived at the center of the Eldritch world, in the vast and majestic heavenly court. In the majestic heavenly court, the eyes of Faith Ling Xiao flickered with golden light. He stepped out of the majestic palace and looked into the void. Ling Xiao, you're back. Faith Ling Xiao said indifferently. Faith, long time no see. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Faith Ling Xiao had become the true master of the heavenly court since he had merged with the Eldritch world's heavenly Tao. He controlled yin and yang and mediated creation. His strength was unfathomable. Ling Xiao realized that after years of Faith Ling Xiao's transformation, his cultivation had risen to the peak of the immortal king realm. He was only half a step away from breaking through to the quasi-immortal emperor realm. Faith Ling Xiao had merged with the Eldritch world. In the future, as long as the Eldritch world continued to grow and expand, Faith Ling Xiao would naturally become stronger too. Brother Ling Xiao, you're back? At this moment, an incomparably surprised voice sounded. In the distance, a gentle and indifferent Jin Se in a red dress entered Ling Xiao's eyes. Her eyes were filled with incomparable excitement, and the rims of her eyes were red. Who else could it be but Jin Se? Beside her was a woman in a white dress. Her beautiful big eyes were covered with a layer of mist, and the corners of her mouth revealed a trace of a smile. As she smiled, her eyes turned red. It was Shui Wei. Ling Xiao's heart couldn't help but tremble when he saw the two women. Jin Se, Shui Wei. Ling Xiao called out softly, and then quickly walked forward and hugged Jin Se and Shui Wei. The feeling of reuniting after a long separation was so good. Soon, Ling Xiao's old friends appeared. Father! Father! An extraordinary young man and woman flew over from afar. Their eyes were filled with incomparable excitement. The man was wise, handsome, and extraordinary. His features were very similar to Ling Xiao's. He was Ling Xiao's son, Ling Huang. The woman was charming and charming. Like Jin Se, she was beautiful and ethereal. Of course, this was Ling Changxing. The Reincarnation Emperor, the Flowing Time Emperor, the Old Goat, Taoist Wuliang Yiliangchen, and Long Outyin were also present. These old friends had lived peaceful and comfortable lives for many years. Seeing an old friend like Ling Xiao return made them incomparably happy. Night fell. In the back garden of the heavenly court, all sorts of nectar and delicacies were laid out on the table. Everyone was very happy. They talked about the development of the Urwilds over the years. Many geniuses had emerged, and of course, Ling Huang and Ling Changxing were the most dazzling of them all. Ling Huang had the Khanate Great Tao body, and was a natural-born emperor. He and Ling Changxing had the Khanate Chaos body, and were a pair of pearls. They had been cultivating diligently for many years, and had already reached the Great Emperor realm. As for the Old Goat, Taoist Wuliang Yiliangchen, and Long Outyin, although they had been a little lazy in recent years, they had also broken through to the Great Emperor realm. They had been in the Urwilds for many years, and were very tired of it. When they heard Ling Xiao talk about the wonders of the eternal immortal domains, they were all itching to go and see for themselves. The eternal immortal domains are vaster and more exciting than the Urwilds, but also more dangerous. Not to mention, it won't be long before the creatures of darkness invade the eternal immortal domains. When that happens, even the Urwilds won't be spared. I'm here to take you all to the eternal immortal domains. Ling Xiao took a sip of wine and smiled at the crowd. Chapter 35:14. The eternal immortal domains weren't any safer than the Urwilds. However, the ancient darkness world was incredibly powerful, and had infiltrated the eternal immortal domains so deeply that not even the Chaos Sea was spared. If the Urwilds were affected, Ling Xiao would be too far away to help. Therefore, Ling Xiao was preparing to bring all of his friends and family from the Urwilds to the eternal immortal domains. Once the war began, he would be able to ensure their safety in the eternal immortal domains. The heavenly court. It was late at night. Everyone was feeling a little tipsy. Ling Xiao's return had made them very happy. However, the invasion of the ancient darkness world that Ling Xiao had mentioned worried them greatly. Needless to say, it was a catastrophe that would sweep across the eternal immortal domains, and perhaps even the Chaos Sea. Jin Se and Shui Wei were overjoyed to be reunited with Ling Xiao after such a long time. After a night of intimacy, Ling Xiao's exhaustion seemed to have faded away. He felt refreshed, and even his cultivation-based bottlenecks seemed to have loosened. Of course, he was still a long way from becoming an immortal emperor. Master said that the opportunity to become an immortal emperor lies in the Wilds. It seems it's time for me to explore the Wilds. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Ling Chongqing had been clinging to Ling Xiao the entire time he had seen his father return. Even Ling Huang, who had always been calm and steady, was excited. Ling Xiao played with them for a few days, and gave them pointers on their cultivation bases. They weren't far from becoming Dao Lords. Now, Ling Xiao planned to explore the Wilds. Naturally, Jin Se and Shui Wei accompanied him. The Wilds was a vast place, filled with all sorts of living beings. It was an epic tale. Ling Xiao, Jin Se, and Shui Wei went on a scenic tour of the Wilds. They saw the customs of the various races, as well as the joys and sorrows of the world. This kind of calm and indifferent state of mind allowed Ling Xiao's cultivation to be much more stable even though he did not break through. Unfortunately, Ling Xiao still hadn't found the opportunity to become an immortal emperor. An immortal emperor is the ruler of the eternal heavenly Tao, reversing life and death, controlling time and space, manipulating fortune and annihilating yin and yang. This kind of mighty power is not something that can be achieved overnight. Unless one has a heaven-defying fortune, it is not so easy to become an immortal emperor. As for the primeval world, although it is an eternal world, it is only a newly born eternal world. How could it have the fortune to become an immortal emperor? Ling Xiao thought to himself. My husband, although I don't know what the immortal emperor realm is, I understand that you can't rush to break through. When the opportunity comes, it will be your chance. Jin Se sensed Ling Xiao's worries and consoled him. I understand, Ling Xiao said with a smile. He was not in a hurry. Instead, he was searching for the location of the opportunity. However, he had traveled more than half of the primitive world but still could not find the opportunity to become an immortal emperor. Clang. At that instant, a voice that sounded like a huge bell echoed in the primordial world. An ethereal and mysterious voice sounded in Ling Xiao's mind. Creatures of darkness? He actually discovered the great desolate world so quickly? Ling Xiao's eyes flickered with a hint of coldness. He had just heard Ling Xiao's voice. In the Chaos Sea, there was a wave of darkness sweeping toward the primitive world. There seemed to be a half-immortal emperor realm expert among them. Jin Se returned to the heavenly court with Shui Wei first. Ling Xiao tore open the void and sent Jin Se and Shui Wei back to the heavenly court. He then took a step forward and appeared in the Chaos Sea. Rumble. In the distance, in the vast and turbulent Chaos Sea, a wave of darkness swept toward them. The worlds that were nurtured in the Chaos Sea were like bubbles that were being swept by the dark waves. They shattered one after another. The wave of darkness swept across and devoured everything. It became more and more terrifying. Moreover, Ling Xiao could sense an extremely terrifying figure emitting an extremely dense aura of the origin of darkness. It was a half-immortal emperor of darkness. Boom! Ling Xiao's eyes flickered with sharpness. Without any hesitation, he threw out a punch. A vast chaos fist print bloomed in the Chaos Sea in an instant. It was like an eternal immortal sun, shattering all the darkness and suppressing toward the wave of darkness. How dare you? A voice filled with shock and anger rang out. In the wave of darkness, a half-immortal emperor of darkness who was over 1,000,000 feet tall and was as black as ink stepped out. The black scythe in his hand suddenly slashed toward Ling Xiao. However, in the next moment, his expression changed drastically. He felt an unparalleled divine force suppressing him. The black scythe in his hand instantly exploded. The chaos fist print slammed into the wave of darkness. Instantly, countless screams were heard. No one knew how many creatures of darkness were blasted into powder by the punch. In the next moment, Ling Xiao reached out and grabbed the half-immortal Emperor of Darkness by the neck. He was lifted out of the Chaos Sea. No matter how hard he struggled, he still couldn't break free from Ling Xiao's control. For you, how can there be such a powerful figure like you in a mere new eternal world? The half-immortal Emperor of Darkness's eyes were filled with shock and anger. He instantly sensed Ling Xiao's cultivation base. Ninth Heaven Half-Immortal Emperor. He didn't expect that his Seventh Heaven Half-Immortal Emperor cultivation base couldn't resist Ling Xiao's attack at all. Most of the army of darkness he brought with him was also killed by Ling Xiao's punch. Boom! Ling Xiao didn't pay attention to him at all. He held the half-immortal Emperor of Darkness with one hand and pressed with the other. In an instant, huge waves surged in the Chaos Sea. Endless power of laws gathered. The remaining army of darkness had nowhere to run. Almost instantly, they were completely annihilated by Ling Xiao's palm. Where did you come from? How did you know about the Eldritch world? Ling Xiao's eyes were incomparably cold and contained a cold, killing intent. He stared at the half-immortal Emperor of Darkness condescendingly. The half-immortal Emperor of Darkness instantly trembled all over. He felt sweating profusely and his eyes were filled with incomparable fear. He felt that if he didn't speak, he would immediately die in Ling Xiao's hands. Sir, my name is Mo Sang. I belong to the 23rd Vanguard under the 9th Saint Emperor of the ancient darkness world. This time, the 9th Saint Emperor's son, the 9th Prince Wushuang, was cultivating in the Chaos Sea. He accidentally discovered a new eternal world, so he sent me here. Mo Sang didn't dare to hide anything and hurriedly told Ling Xiao everything he knew. Ling Xiao's brows furrowed tightly as he listened to his explanation. End of chapter. Chapter 35:15. According to Mo Sang, Ling Xiao could not help but worry. The ancient darkness world's 9th sacred emperor. According to Mo Sang, there were 9 sacred emperors in the ancient darkness world. Above them was the mysterious and powerful darkness sovereign. Even the 9 sacred emperors had to obey the darkness sovereign's orders. In that case, there were more than 10 immortal emperors in the ancient darkness world. In the eternal immortal domain, including the chaotic ancient immortal emperor, there might not be more than 3 immortal emperors. The disparity in strength was too great. Moreover, no one knew if there were any hidden immortal emperors in the ancient darkness world. Although Ling Xiao had overestimated the ancient darkness world's strength, his heart was still heavy after hearing Mo Sang's words. 9th Wushuang? Looking for the opportunity to become a sacred emperor? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. According to Mo Sang, 9th Wushuang was the most dazzling genius in the ancient darkness world. He had come to the Chaos Sea to find the opportunity to become a sacred emperor. 9th Wushuang's cultivation had also reached the 9th heaven of the quasi-immortal emperor realm. Moreover, he had reached the 9th heaven of the quasi-immortal emperor realm millions of years ago. Ling Xiao could not help but ponder. Could it be that the opportunity to become an immortal emperor was going to fall on the hands of the 9th-ranked Prince Wushuang? Sir, I have told you everything I know. If you want to find 9th Prince Wushuang, I can take you there. I believe you will be interested in the opportunity to become a sacred emperor. Mo Sang stole a glance at Ling Xiao. Is that so? Ling Xiao looked at him with a faint smile. Ling Xiao naturally knew Mo Sang's plan. Perhaps Mo Sang wanted Ling Xiao to find 9th Wushuang so that he could escape with 9th Wushuang's strength. However, Ling Xiao did not intend to expose Mo Sang's plan. He really wanted to meet 9th Prince Wushuang. He had a premonition that the opportunity to become a sacred emperor was going to fall on 9th Wushuang. Sir, I will not lie to you. Although 9th Prince Wushuang did not tell me, the Chaos Sea contains the supreme law of heaven. It is mysterious and unfathomable. Light and darkness intertwine. It is definitely a sacred emperor realm opportunity. Mo Sang was afraid that Ling Xiao would not believe him, so he swore. All right, lead the way. Ling Xiao said. Yes. Mo Sang was delighted. He immediately turned around obediently and headed towards the depths of the Chaos Sea. Ling Xiao followed closely behind him. He didn't play any tricks. After witnessing Ling Xiao's strength, he understood that there was no way he could escape, so he obediently led the way. Ling Xiao could feel that the chaos sea seemed to be getting more and more violent. Endless waves swept through the sky, and ancient worlds shattered one after another before being completely annihilated in the chaos sea. The power of laws rose, and the great Tao interweaved. All kinds of chaotic power gathered here and returned to the chaos. It was as if an extremely terrifying power was about to awaken in the chaos sea, affecting the peace of the entire chaos sea. He followed Mo Sang all the way to the depths of chaos sea. A vast abyss of chaos suddenly appeared in front of them. It was as black as ink, like a black hole that could devour everything. It was as if there was only nothingness there. Even the primal chaos did not exist. However, at this moment, a dazzling light blossomed from within, and a mysterious figure vaguely appeared. Many dark creatures were stationed around the abyss of chaos, and a few of them had extremely terrifying auras. They had reached the 9th heaven of the half-celestial emperor realm. Ling Xiao became more worried when he saw how powerful the subordinates of the 9th Saint Emperor's son were. "Sir, it's there. His Highness Jiao Wushuang is in that abyss." Mo Sang glanced at Ling Xiao carefully and said slowly, "Very good. You've led me here to borrow the power of the dark creature's army, or rather, Jiao Wushuang's power to kill me, right?" Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Mo Sang's expression instantly became unnatural. He laughed dryly and said, "How is that possible? Sir, I just don't want to die." Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. However, as soon as he finished speaking, a few terrifying auras rose from the chaos sea in all directions. They were 4 terrifying figures that were 1,000,000 feet tall, and their bodies seemed to be made of black divine gold. Their auras were extremely powerful, as if they could annihilate everything. Their eyes were cold and merciless. They were filled with eerie and dark murderous intent, causing the surrounding space to tremble and distort. They were 4 9th heaven of the half-celestial emperor realm experts. "Sirs, he's trying to harm His Highness. Please kill him as soon as possible." Mo Sang was overjoyed. He yelled wildly as he fled into the distance. Ling Xiao did not even look at Mo Sang. His eyes were fixed on the 4 half-celestial emperors in front of him with a cold, murderous intent. The 4 half-celestial emperors were very powerful. However, they were nothing to Ling Xiao. "Die!" The 4 half-celestial emperors sensed Ling Xiao's life force. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent. They suddenly yelled and charged at Ling Xiao at the same time. "Kill!" Ling Xiao roared as well. Blazing celestial light rose from his palm. A sword light that could shatter the heavens and reverse time was extremely dazzling and resplendent as it swept across the void. At the same time, his figure skyrocketed and turned into 1,000,000 feet tall. His body was covered in a brilliant golden glow. He threw a fierce chaotic fist seal at the 4 half-celestial emperors. Rumble. Boundless divine light surged in the chaos ocean. The sharp sword ray instantly penetrated the forehead of one of the half-celestial emperors. Ling Xiao's fist seal also landed on the chest of the other half-celestial emperor. An unparalleled divine force burst out and shattered his heart into pieces. The 2 half-celestial emperors were sent flying at the same time. They were severely injured in an instant. "Damn it! Stop him, we can't let him disturb His Highness." The remaining 2 half-celestial emperors were shocked and furious. Their eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent as they charged at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's strength had exceeded their expectations. However, for the sake of His Highness, they charged forward fearlessly. Rumble. Blazing immortal light bloomed around Ling Xiao. Eternal light shrouded him, making him look like an immortal celestial emperor who could suppress the heavens and shatter the boundless chaos. Even a casual strike from him contained unparalleled power that could send a powerful dark quasi-immortal emperor flying. As he stomped his foot, the chaos ocean surged violently. Huge waves surged into the sky and swept across the sky, annihilating the countless dark creatures around him. Ling Xiao's strength was beyond everyone's imagination. Even Mo Sang, who had just escaped, turned pale in an instant. How could he be so strong? His mind was filled with questions. However, in the next moment, a brilliant sword ray swept across the sky and sliced him in half. Even his true spirit was completely annihilated. Rumble. This battle came quickly and ended quickly as well. Although the four dark quasi-immortal emperors were not afraid of death, their strength was boundless, and they did not hesitate to detonate their dark saint weapons in an attempt to take Ling Xiao down with them. However, Ling Xiao's strength was far beyond their comprehension. In the end, they all died in Ling Xiao's hands. Chapter 35:16. The boundless 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda was summoned by Ling Xiao, suppressing the chaos and destroying the universe. It was boundlessly terrifying. Under the shroud of the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda, the army of dark creatures had nowhere to run and were annihilated one after another. Ling Xiao was bathed in blood, the murderous aura around him was monstrous, and his eyes were filled with sharp killing intent. Step by step, he stepped on the chaos and walked towards the chaos abyss. Rumble. In the chaos abyss, boundless lightning surged, and the terrifying power of laws destroyed everything. It was as if this was the end of everything. The power of the end could even severely injure or even annihilate a quasi-immortal emperor. It was no wonder that the army of dark creatures was so fearful and so far away from the darkness abyss. In front of Ling Xiao's eyes, it was as if there were 3,000 worlds being annihilated and 3,000 worlds being born, nurturing an eternal and indestructible power. 3,000 divine chains of order intertwined, each representing the supreme power of the eternal heavenly Tao law. In the end, they merged into one and turned into a dazzling ball of light. It was a bead. There were 3,000 strange lights, and the mysterious shadow of 3,000 universes lingered around it. It was eternal and boundlessly terrifying. Ling Xiao saw a demonic young man in a black robe sitting cross-legged under the bead, trying to refine it completely. It should be Dijio Wushuang. Dijio Wushuang had reached the most critical moment in refining the bead, causing his army of dark creatures to be destroyed. He had no time to care about it. When Ling Xiao saw the bead, a thought appeared in his mind. That was his opportunity to become an immortal emperor. Kill! Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with killing intent. Without any hesitation, he instantly charged towards Dijio Wushuang. Boom! The unparalleled chaotic fist print, containing the supreme power to destroy everything, blasted on Dijio Wushuang's body in an instant. Ripples appeared around Dijio Wushuang, and the power of darkness origin enveloped him, protecting him within. An ancient armor that emitted the power of darkness origin appeared on Dijio Wushuang's body. That armor had an extremely strong defensive power, causing Ling Xiao's powerful fist imprint to be unable to shake it in the slightest. Darkness Emperor weapon. Only a Darkness Emperor weapon could have such a terrifying defensive power. Suppress. The light in Ling Xiao's eyes intensified. Without any hesitation, he took out the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda. This supreme immortal emperor weapon could destroy everything. It was a supreme treasure refined by the primal chaos immortal emperor and was far stronger than ordinary immortal emperor weapons. Rumble. When the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda came crashing down, that boundless and terrifying suppressive force destroyed everything, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Even Dijio Wushuang felt a fatal killing intent. He had no choice but to forcefully wake up from the refining state. Damn you! Dijio Wushuang's eyes flickered with tremendous hatred and murderous intent as he uttered a roar. He had already refined 99% of the orb. He only needed a little more time to refine it completely. At that time, he would even be able to break through to Supreme Saint Emperor. However, at this crucial moment, Ling Xiao had barged in and even brought out the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda to attack him. This abruptly interrupted his breakthrough process. How could he not hate him? You're Dijio Wushuang? Leave the opportunity to attain the Tao to me. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Boom! The 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda came crashing down on Dijio Wushuang without any hesitation. Dijio Wushuang's face was gloomy and filled with shock and anger. However, he could not say a word at this moment and could only suppress his anger. He swore that he would tear Ling Xiao into pieces. Rumble. As the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda came crashing down, Dijio Wushuang's body emitted the light of darkness origin energy. A strange ancient sword appeared in his palm and collided with the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda. Sparks flew and divine light surged. Dijio Wushuang felt an unparalleled divine power coming at him, and he immediately retreated. The 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda was far stronger than ordinary Immortal Emperor weapons. Although Dijio Wushuang's armor was a dark Immortal Emperor weapon, it was still far inferior to the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda. Kill! Dijio Wushuang's face was extremely gloomy, but he still charged toward Ling Xiao. He was determined to get the orb. It was his opportunity to prove his Tao and he could not give it to Ling Xiao. Rumble. Kacha. In the Chaos Abyss, Ling Xiao and Dijio Wushuang engaged in an extremely intense battle. They were both Ninth Heaven Quasi-Immortal Emperor Realm experts. Their cultivation bases were powerful and their foundations were deep. If it were not for the strange laws protecting this place, they would have been completely defeated by them. However, Dijio Wushuang still gradually fell into a disadvantageous position. It was not only the supreme divine power of the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda that could suppress everything. Even immortal emperors could not withstand it, let alone Dijio Wushuang. More importantly, Ling Xiao's foundation was deep and unprecedented. Even Dijio Wushuang could not compare to him. Boom! The 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda blasted Dijio Wushuang's body and sent him flying. Kacha! Cracks appeared on the strange black armor on Dijio Wushuang's body as the dark origin energy kept surging out. In the end, it actually shattered with a loud bang. What? Dijio Wushuang was stunned. The sacred nirvana armor on his body was a supreme treasure refined by his father. It was a powerful dark immortal emperor weapon and had extremely terrifying defensive power. However, he did not expect it to be shattered by the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda. What kind of treasure was that? Die! Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely cold. The incomparably sharp chaotic fist print pressed down on Dijio Wushuang. Dijio Wushuang's body trembled and he groaned. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. Rumble. The 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda also pressed down on Dijio Wushuang, wanting to kill him completely. No! Father, save me. Dijio Wushuang's eyes were filled with despair and unwillingness. He was about to become a divine emperor and become a supreme expert in the ancient darkness world. How could he be willing to die here? Ling Xiao's strength was too strong, especially the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda. It made him feel despair. Buzz. Dark mist surged from Dijio Wushuang's forehead and turned into a majestic and mysterious figure. It exuded a domineering and terrifying aura that suppressed everything. It was the mark of a darkness immortal emperor. That is, the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda? For you. Dijio Wushuang's father, looked at Ling Xiao coldly as if he was looking at an ant. However, when he saw the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda, his face changed and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Chapter 35:17. Obviously, the ninth sacred emperor recognized the origin of the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda. It's just a mark of a darkness immortal emperor. That murderous intent flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. The 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda pressed down on the ninth sacred emperor. Rumble. The terrifying divine power of the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda seemed to contain the divine power of the 36 universes. It could destroy everything. Even the ninth sacred emperor's expression changed drastically. He shouted in shock and anger, "Kid, let go of my son. If you dare to hurt my son, even if I have to chase you to the ends of the world, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. I will make you suffer for eternity." However, the only response he got was the vast power of the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda. Boom. Although the ninth sacred emperor's mark was strong and could even suppress a ninth heaven quasi-immortal emperor, It could not resist the vast power of the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda at all. It shattered and turned into nothingness in an instant. No! Dijio Wushuang's eyes were filled with despair. His voice was filled with sorrow and unwillingness. Boom! However, under the suppression of the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda, his body broke inch by inch. Then he exploded and turned into dust. Dijio Wushuang was completely dead. Ling Zhao's gaze was sharp and resplendent, instantly landing on the pearl. Swoosh! His figure flashed, and he appeared below the bead. 3,000 strange lights bloomed. It seemed to reflect the 3,000 immortal universes. It was mysterious and unfathomable. It contained the supreme power of the laws. Strange rays of light shone down from the pearl and entered Ling Zhao's mind. Ling Zhao's eyes were filled with shock. Chaos Origin Bead? He instantly knew the origin of the bead. The Chaos Origin Bead was a supreme treasure that had been nurtured by the Chaos Sea for hundreds of millions of years. The Chaos Origin Bead contained the embryonic form of the 3,000 supreme heavenly Tao origin energy. It could be refined into a supreme immortal emperor's supreme treasure with a little refinement. If it was completely refined and integrated into the body, one could comprehend the supreme heavenly Tao origin energy and attain the supreme immortal emperor's supreme power with the help of the embryonic form of the 3,000 supreme heavenly Tao origin energy. No wonder Dijio Wushuang looked like he was going to fight him to the death. Ling Zhao had completely robbed Dijio Wushuang of his opportunity and fortune. So this is where my opportunity to attain the Tao lies. Ling Zhao's lips curled into a smile. He didn't hesitate at all and immediately sat down cross-legged to refine the Chaos Origin Bead. In the vast and boundless ancient dark world, in a dark heavenly palace, a horrifying figure opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. You dare to kill my son? Very good. I'd like to see who's so audacious. That terrifying figure was the 9th Sacred Emperor. He was one of the 9 great saint emperors of the ancient darkness world, a supreme figure who controlled an army of billions of darkness creatures. He had countless supreme experts under his command, and his strength was boundlessly terrifying. However, he had just sensed that his mark had disappeared and that his son had been killed. The 9th Sacred Emperor's heart was filled with overwhelming murderous intent and fury. Rumble! His body emitted a terrifying and boundless aura. In an instant, he tore through the void and strode towards the Chaos Sea. The Chaos Origin Bead was mysterious and unfathomable. It contained the embryonic form of the 3,000 supreme heavenly ways. As Ling Zhao refined it, his understanding of the supreme heavenly ways deepened. Moreover, the Chaos Celestial Scripture that he cultivated seemed to be extremely compatible with the Chaos Origin Bead, allowing him to refine the Chaos Origin Bead at an extremely fast speed. Almost naturally, he had completely refined the Chaos Origin Bead in no time. Rumble! The Chaos Origin Bead emitted 3,000 blazing rays of light as if it was splitting the heavens and earth apart. Lightning surged, heaven and earth shook, and the void rumbled in all directions. Ling Zhao's aura became mysterious and unpredictable as if he had transcended the heavens and earth, time and space, and the chaos. The Chaos Sea surged as the mysterious power of law rose and gathered toward Ling Zhao. Buzz! The Chaos Origin Bead rose and slowly merged into Ling Zhao's glabella. In an instant, Ling Zhao's aura became incomparably dignified. Boundless light of chaos surged and filled the sky for hundreds of millions of miles. The power of law surged and divine chains of order intertwined. He rose into the air and sat cross-legged in the air above the Chaos Sea. Endless lightning gathered above his head, creating all sorts of mysterious images. It was as if a primordial divine beast had come back to life, or countless immortal emperors were conquering the heavens. Blood flowed, and the heavens and earth shattered. All sorts of terrifying gods and demons fought each other, and in the end, they formed a brand in the Chaos Sea. Now, they formed all sorts of lightning and thunder that rained down on Ling Zhao. This was the tribulation of Tao verification. It was the most terrifying tribulation in the eternal immortal realms, the Chaos Sea, and even the mysterious and unknown lands. Countless ninth-level immortal emperors had tried to overcome the tribulation of Tao verification and break through to the immortal emperor realm, but all of them had died in the end. It was a tribulation with only a slim chance of survival. Ling Xiao had experienced countless tribulations throughout his journey, starting as a weak mortal and becoming the strongest quasi-immortal emperor he was today. However, he had to admit that the tribulation of Tao verification was the most terrifying tribulation he had ever faced in his life. Even though his accumulation of experience was incomparably deep, his talent was unparalleled throughout the ages, and he even had the 36 Sky Supremes Pagoda and the Chaos Origin Bead, he still couldn't overcome this tribulation. In the face of the tribulation of Tao verification, he still felt the threat of death. Kill. In the face of the terrifying lightning tribulation, Ling Xiao's eyes surged with a monstrous battle intent, causing the void around him to tremble violently. His entire being exuded a powerful and boundless killing intent. In an instant, he soared into the sky and rushed into the boundless sea of lightning. Rumble. Crack. Bam. 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 Ling Xiao conquered the heavens, shattering everything in his path as he fought with invincibility. He had once fought against primordial gods and demons, torn apart primordial divine beasts with his bare hands, and fought against the strongest geniuses of countless timelines. In the end, he had faced the strongest immortal emperor. He had fought his way from the primordial times, and from this era to the endless past. In the end, Ling Xiao didn't even know where he was. All that was left was the most powerful battle intent, which continued to grow and multiply. In his body, there was an immortal and eternal power that was awakening and growing stronger. Rumble. In the end, Ling Xiao's body bloomed with the light of the sublimation of the extreme realm. It was eternal and immortal, and in an instant, it swept through time and space, becoming the only eternal existence. He had also broken through the most terrifying tribulation of Tao verification and stepped out of the endless lightning. In the next moment, heaven and earth trembled because of him. Chapter 35:18. Rumble. Above Ling Xiao's head, there was a dazzling sun that emitted 3,000 rays of light. It was surrounded by 3,000 immortal universes. Its aura was terrifying. His eyes were sharp and bright. It was as if he could see through the space-time of the heavens and shatter the infinite universe. With a thought, he could open up the universe and destroy billions of lives. He had completely merged with the primal chaos origin bead. The 3,000 embryonic forms of the supreme heavenly Tao in the primal chaos origin bead rose from his body and intertwined with the world tree. The world tree supported the primal chaos heaven and earth and became the only eternal one. Is this the immortal emperor realm? Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly as a faint smile appeared on his lips. He could feel that the vast and terrifying power in his body could penetrate the primal chaos sea and open up infinite worlds in an instant. His strength had increased by more than 100 or 1,000 times compared to before. Or even more. Because this was a qualitative change. Ling Xiao had thought that with his boundless accumulation and a treasure like the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda, he might be able to go against the odds and fight against an immortal emperor with his cultivation of the 9th heaven of the half-immortal emperor realm. But now, it seemed that he was far from clear about the immortal emperor realm and power. With his cultivation of the 9th heaven of the half-immortal emperor realm, it would be difficult for him to escape from the hands of an immortal emperor. However, Ling Xiao's Tao-confirming tribulation would be far more terrifying than the others. His accumulation was too vast and unparalleled. Therefore, after he broke through to the immortal emperor realm, he would naturally be stronger than the others. Rumble. At this moment, the primal chaos sea surged. Huge waves surged and the void in all directions roared violently. In an instant, infinite worlds exploded. A majestic and terrifying figure appeared in the primal chaos sea. His entire body was surging with the light of the origin of darkness. He was billions of feet tall and emitted a dusky light. He was immortal and majestic as if he could tear everything apart. It was a terrifying dark creature. Perhaps he could be called the Darkness Immortal Emperor. He was the ninth Saint Emperor. When he felt that his son, Jiao Wushuang, had died in Ling Zhao's hands, he was furious and rushed over from the ancient darkness world. You have broken through to the immortal emperor realm? How could you be so fast? The ninth holy emperor's eyes were filled with killing intent. However, when he saw Ling Zhao, his expression changed drastically. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Even in the ancient darkness world, those who could break through to the Saint Emperor realm were peerless geniuses who were one in a billion. At the same time, the tribulations to reach Saint Emperor were extremely difficult. They were not easy to overcome. How did Ling Zhao break through to the immortal emperor realm so easily? This time, the ninth sacred emperor had personally asked the sovereign to help. Only then did he predict that there would be an opportunity to prove one's Tao in the Chaos Sea. That was why he had sent Jiao Wushuang to seize the opportunity. However, he did not expect Ling Zhao to not only snatch Jiao Wushuang's opportunity to prove his Tao, but also break through to the immortal emperor realm so quickly. You are the ninth sacred emperor of the ancient darkness world? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he stared at the ninth sacred emperor. That's me. You actually snatched my son's opportunity to attain the Tao. Today, I'll tear you into 1,000 pieces and make you unable to reincarnate for all eternity. The ninth holy emperor was furious as he glared at Ling Zhao. So what if Ling Zhao was an immortal emperor? He had attained the Saint Emperor realm in the previous era. He had been in this realm for countless years. Although it was difficult to kill an immortal emperor who had just broken through, it was not impossible. He was furious. This was the opportunity that originally belonged to Jiao Wushuang. The ancient darkness world was supposed to have one more sacred emperor, but now it had been snatched away by Ling Zhao. Rumble. Murderous intent filled the air around him. The terrifying darkness origin was like ink as it enveloped Ling Zhao. The ninth sacred emperor instantly attacked. In his palm, there was a black spear stained with black blood. It was rusty and looked extremely evil. In an instant, it pierced through the Chaos Sea and pierced towards Ling Zhao. Boom! Ling Zhao's eyes were extremely sharp. Vast mighty force erupted from his body as an unparalleled Chaos Fist seal met the attack. He had attained the immortal emperor realm and his cultivation had skyrocketed. Now that the ninth sacred emperor had appeared, he could use the ninth sacred emperor as a whetstone to see how strong he had become. Gotcha! The unparalleled Chaos Fist seal seemed to have pierced through the universe in an instant. It became the only thing in the endless space and collided with the black spear. The black spear trembled violently. It was an extremely powerful Darkness Emperor weapon. However, under Ling Zhao's terrifying Chaos Fist seal, it could not resist at all and exploded into pieces. Ling Zhao's physical body was now extremely strong. It was comparable to an immortal emperor's supreme treasure. Although the Darkness Emperor weapon was powerful, it could not invade Ling Zhao's physical body. Instead, it was destroyed by his punch. Kill! Ling Zhao's gaze was incomparably sharp. He used all kinds of powerful divine abilities. All kinds of immortal emperor scriptures merged into one in his mind, causing his every move to be filled with unfathomable supreme power. The ninth sacred emperor's eyes were filled with disbelief. As soon as he exchanged blows with Ling Zhao, he immediately felt how terrifying Ling Zhao was. He did not seem like an expert who had just broken through to the immortal emperor realm. Ling Zhao's strength made him feel extremely pressured. How is this possible? Since when did such a terrifying expert appear in the immortal domain? The ninth sacred emperor's face was extremely ugly. His heart was filled with shock and anger. His attacks became even more fierce and domineering. Blazing dark divine light pierced through the sky and crazily shrouded Ling Zhao. Streaks of sharp sword light appeared in his palm. With a wave of his hand, he sliced through the starry sky and destroyed one great universe after another. This was a true battle between immortal emperors. They had both broken through time and space and were the only supreme immortal emperors who had attained eternity. They were fighting in the past, present, and future. Their real bodies and dharma bodies, physical bodies and primordial spirits were fighting in all aspects. The ninth sacred emperor's strength was also extremely terrifying. Moreover, he had honed himself in this realm for countless years. One attack from him could destroy a great universe. Meanwhile, Ling Zhao's Chaos Fist seal swept across the Chaos Sea. In an instant, it set off a monstrous wave. It condensed into an extremely terrifying immortal Dao True Dragon that spanned hundreds of millions of miles. It opened its mouth and spat out a dazzling divine light that smashed down billions of supreme stars. Rumble. The battle between Ling Xiao and the ninth sacred emperor was too intense. It was impossible to say how many great universes were destroyed in the Chaos Sea and how many living beings were annihilated. Their battle caused the Chaos Sea to churn violently. Monstrous waves rose to the sky, and terrifying laws manifested and then shattered. In fact, the terrifying fluctuations even reached the distant eternal immortal domains. In the eternal immortal domains, several figures with terrifying auras opened their eyes. Their eyes were filled with shock and uncertainty. A battle between immortal emperors has broken out in the Chaos Sea? Which immortal emperor is fighting the sacred emperor of the ancient darkness world? Is the Dark Age finally coming for the eternal immortal domains? Many terrifying divine consciousnesses intertwined, filled with worry and bewilderment. End of chapter. Chapter 35:19. Boom! The ninth sacred emperor was in a frenzy. His body was surrounded by a murderous aura. Darkness origin energy circled around him like a river of darkness. In an instant, he blasted open a great universe and charged towards Ling Xiao with unparalleled might. In Ling Xiao's palm, a dazzling sword light bloomed. It was dazzling to the extreme. It cut through the river of darkness and chopped off one of the ninth sacred emperor's arms. Ling Xiao and the ninth sacred emperor had been fighting for a long time. Ling Xiao was gradually familiarizing himself with the cultivation of the immortal emperor realm. He unleashed an even more terrifying combat strength, which shocked the ninth sacred emperor. Not to mention, Ling Xiao's accumulation was unprecedented. His strength was unfathomable. Once he broke through, it would be a stunning display of his strength. Therefore, when he displayed his strongest strength, a sword light chopped off the ninth sacred emperor's arm. Boom! The ninth sacred emperor unleashed his darkness origin energy. His arm instantly recovered. 1,000 arms and 1,000 heads appeared behind him, spewing out dark destructive light. Dark divine chains of order shot towards Ling Xiao to seal him. Gotcha! Ling Xiao formed an invincible fist seal. Chaotic light circled around him. In an instant, he broke through the boundless Milky Way and formed a great universe. He then charged towards the ninth sacred emperor to suppress him. The dark light that filled the sky suddenly exploded. The ninth sacred emperor spat out a mouthful of black blood. Cracks appeared all over his body as if he was about to explode. Ling Xiao possessed unparalleled strength. He could destroy and suppress everything. Even the ninth sacred emperor could feel the feeling of destruction. No! I will not be defeated. I will surpass everything and control everything. Kill, kill, kill. The ninth sacred emperor roared furiously and charged towards Ling Xiao. Black light whizzed out of his mouth and turned into a divine black dragon. The dragon's might spread, shattering the dazzling Milky Way. Radiance of time shot out from Ling Xiao's eyes. It was like a golden divine spear, nailing the divine black dragon to death in the desolate universe. Rumble! Ling Xiao stepped on the Milky Way. Chaotic light fell from above his head. He was like the only immortal true God in the universe as he charged towards the ninth sacred emperor. The ninth sacred emperor was completely at a disadvantage. No matter how he fought back or how he struggled, he was still losing ground. Boom! Ling Xiao stomped down and crushed the ninth Saint Emperor's arm. Afterwards, he threw a punch at the ninth Saint Emperor's head, causing it to explode. The ninth Saint Emperor roared furiously. His darkness origin energy exploded and absorbed the boundless chaos energy to reform his physical body. Once one's cultivation reached the immortal emperor realm, they were almost indestructible. Unless one could erase all the imprints it left behind in the endless spacetime, only then could one kill it. Otherwise, the immortal emperor could be reborn. Therefore, only immortal emperors could kill immortal emperors. Boom, boom, boom. The surging fist seemed to contain the origin energy of billions of worlds as it slammed into the 9th Saint Emperor, constantly killing him. As for the 9th Sacred Emperor, he was continuously reviving. I'm invincible. No one can kill me. The 9th Holy Emperor seemed to have gone mad as he roared furiously. Really? Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a hint of mockery. Boom. The 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda seemed to have broken through the chaos sea as it stirred up monstrous waves. It was surrounded by boundless power of law as it rose into the sky. The 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda directly suppressed the 9th Saint Emperor's head. The 9th Saint Emperor's body shook violently as he was locked down by divine chains of law. A terrifying devouring power came from the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda and began to refine the 9th Saint Emperor. 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda? Damn it. What is your relationship with the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor? The 9th Saint Emperor's eyes were filled with horror. There was even a hint of fear that could not be concealed. The 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda was also known as the Devouring Emperor Pagoda in the ancient darkness world because it had devoured several darkness immortal emperors in the hands of the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor. This was a supreme treasure that the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor had refined to deal with the creatures of darkness. Ling Zhao had taken out the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda to devour the 9th Saint Emperor's origin energy and erase all his imprints. This was an attempt to completely obliterate him. No. So what if you have the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda? You are not the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor. No one can kill me. The 9th Saint Emperor's eyes were filled with rage and madness. Rumble. Violent dark light bloomed around him as flames rose. Then, a murderous aura spread. It was as if a sun had collapsed and exploded. He had actually chosen to self-destruct. Of course, immortal emperors would not die even if they self-destructed, but they would become extremely weak. Unless they had no other choice, even immortal emperors would not choose to self-destruct. This showed how much the 9th Saint Emperor feared the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda. He did not hesitate to self-destruct to escape. Boom. The chaos sea was swept away by a terrifying storm. In an instant, countless stars were annihilated and countless universes were shattered. How terrifying was the self-destruction of an immortal emperor. The 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda emitted a dazzling light. It was dazzling to the extreme, as if it was enduring a kind of extreme power. However, the 9th Saint Emperor was disappointed. Although he had chosen to self-destruct, he was unable to blast open the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda and escape. I was waiting for you to self-destruct. Now, you really don't have any chance at all. Ling Zhao sneered coldly. Rumble. The 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda bloomed with dazzling light and completely enveloped the 9th Saint Emperor in front of his horrified eyes. Even the imprint that the 9th Saint Emperor had left behind in the endless spacetime was being found by the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda and was constantly being destroyed. The 9th Saint Emperor had chosen to self-destruct. Although he quickly recovered his physical body, his origin was damaged and he was extremely weak. How could he escape from the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda's devouring? A miserable and unwilling cry was heard as the 9th Saint Emperor was instantly devoured by the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda. The vast and majestic immortal emperor's origin energy was refined by the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda and surged into Ling Zhao's body like a flood. There was an ancient world tree in Ling Zhao's body that seemed to have penetrated the chaotic universe and endless spacetime. It was eternal and immortal. As the 9th Saint Emperor was devoured by Ling Zhao, the vitality of the world tree reached its peak before it rapidly withered and perished. Then, an even more vigorous and majestic vitality emerged from the withering. A mysterious circle of samsara light appeared behind Ling Zhao. It was mysterious and unfathomable. Is this the primal chaos samsara mark? Ling Zhao looked at the mysterious mark, and a look of understanding appeared in his eyes. Chapter 35:20. Immortal emperors controlled the supreme heavenly Tao, and a primal chaos reincarnation seal would be condensed in their body. As long as someone chanted their true name, they would be able to reincarnate from the primal chaos. Unless an immortal emperor expert erased all of its imprints, shattered its true spirit, or even completely devoured the primal chaos reincarnation seal, only then could it be erased. Therefore, only immortal emperors could kill immortal emperors. The cultivation of an immortal emperor was related to the number of primal chaos samsara seals in one's body. One primal chaos samsara seal was equivalent to a one tribulation immortal emperor. Condensing the 9 samsara seals would make one a 9 tribulation immortal emperor. Rumor had it that after condensing the 9 reincarnation seals, the 9 would return to 1 and 1 would be able to break through to the supreme mysterious realm. However, neither the eternal immortal realms nor the ancient darkness world had been able to break through to that level. Even the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor was only a 9 tribulation immortal emperor. Although Ling Xiao had broken through to the immortal emperor realm, he had yet to condense his own primal chaos reincarnation seal. Now that he had devoured the 9th sacred emperor and his primal chaos reincarnation seal, Ling Xiao had truly become a one tribulation immortal emperor. However, it was extremely difficult to devour the primal chaos reincarnation seal of an immortal emperor. Even if the immortal emperor was no match for the immortal emperor could still self-destruct the primal chaos reincarnation seal. However, Ling Xiao's foundation was deep and he was powerful. In addition to the power of the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda, he was lucky enough to suppress the 9th Sacred Emperor and devour his chaotic samsara seal. Rumble. In the Primal Chaos Sea, the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda above Ling Xiao's head was billions of feet tall. It was boundlessly majestic, like an immortal primal chaos fiend god, exuding a torrential aura. His gaze was extremely sharp, and it was as if he could see through the cycle of time. Every single move he made was capable of opening up boundless space and shattering countless universes. His strength had reached an unfathomable level. The universes that were nurtured in the Chaos Sea were like bubbles under the sun in front of Ling Xiao. They could be crushed easily. Even if it was an eternal world like the Chaos World, Ling Xiao could directly shatter it. The strength of an immortal emperor was far beyond the comprehension of ordinary beings. Only eternal universes like the Eternal World and the Ancient Darkness World could withstand the vast power of an immortal emperor. However, immortal emperors rarely fought in the Eternal World and Ancient Darkness World. Otherwise, they would cause irreversible damage. That was why immortal emperors rarely showed themselves in the eternal immortal domains. At this moment, primal chaos surged and laws rose. A terrifying aura broke through the waves of the Chaos Sea in the distance. It was as if the Chaos Ocean had suddenly collapsed. Boundless dark light surged and turned the place into a dark ocean. That kind of darkness origin energy was too dense. Even Ling Xiao felt a strong sense of danger. A blurry figure descended in front of Ling Xiao. Although his face could not be seen clearly, the figure seemed to be a fusion of darkness and light. It also seemed to be the embodiment of evil and holiness. It emitted a terrifying and boundless aura, as if it wanted to shatter the entire sea of chaos in an instant. The first sacred emperor. Although Ling Xiao had never seen this creature of darkness before, a name involuntarily appeared in his mind. The figure in front of him was actually the first sacred emperor of the ancient darkness world. It was you who killed Old Ninth? Cryptic and ancient syllables sounded, filled with indifference and coldness. It's me. First Holy Emperor, do you want to avenge the 9th Holy Emperor? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed coldly as he spoke slowly. The first sacred emperor did give Ling Xiao an incomparably dangerous feeling, but he could sense that this was not his true body. It was a brand. A mere brand. No matter how terrifyingly powerful the first sacred emperor was, there was no way he could kill Ling Xiao. 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda? Are you still not coming out, Primal Chaos Immortal Emperor? The first sacred emperor's eyes were cold and evil, as if he didn't care about Ling Xiao at all. He glanced coldly at the pagoda. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, there seemed to be 3 dazzling suns rising in the distance. 3 figures with terrifying auras shot out of the eternal immortal domains like blazing suns, piercing through the sea of primal chaos as they emerged from the eternal immortal domains. They were 3 immortal emperors. Their leader was a middle-aged man with a heroic bearing and an imposing figure. His eyes were sharp and deep, and he exuded an aura of invincibility that could sweep across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. It was the primal chaos immortal emperor. To his left and right were a young man in a Taoist robe, surrounded by the power of light, and a beautiful middle-aged woman in a palace gown. The 3 immortal emperors had come from the eternal immortal domains to appear before Ling Xiao and the first sacred emperor. "So you're still alive, primal chaos immortal emperor." The first sacred emperor's eyes were filled with fear as he looked at the primal chaos immortal emperor. "If that old bastard sovereign is still alive, how could I be dead? You, on the other hand, have 9 primal chaos samsara seals." The primal chaos immortal emperor glanced coolly at the first sacred emperor. "So what if you're still alive, primal chaos immortal emperor? Lord Dizun's current strength has far surpassed yours. Lord Dizun doesn't even need to do anything. Us brothers can kill you." The first sacred emperor glared at the primal chaos immortal emperor with murderous intent. In the past, the primal chaos immortal emperor had been a peerless genius, and his strength had reached the pinnacle. The battle between the sovereign and the primal chaos immortal emperor, the ruler of the ancient darkness world, had almost destroyed the primal chaos sea and caused unimaginable damage to both the eternal immortal domains and the ancient darkness world. Even the first sacred emperor had been severely injured by the primal chaos immortal emperor. However, the sovereign's injuries had gradually healed over the course of countless epochs, and his cultivation had improved. In the first sacred emperor's opinion, the primal chaos immortal emperor was no match for the sovereign. "Is that so? Why don't you come out and try? But you won't be so lucky this time." The primal chaos immortal emperor smiled coolly. "You don't know the meaning of death. Do you think trash like you can stop the army of the ancient darkness world? Primal chaos immortal emperor, the sovereign wants me to tell you that if you're willing to submit to him within 100 years, he'll spare your life. Otherwise, all of the eternal immortal domains will sink into darkness." The first sacred emperor's eyes were as cold as ice. "Is this a declaration of war?" The primal chaos immortal emperor's gaze sharpened. "That's right. In 100 years, darkness will descend upon the eternal immortal domains, and the eternal immortal domains will become the domain of darkness. You can decide for yourselves what to do." The first sacred emperor sneered. He swept his gaze across the 3 primal chaos immortal emperors, pausing briefly on Ling Xiao with disdain, indifference, and murderous intent. Then his figure slowly disappeared before everyone's eyes. Chapter 35-21. The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor's eyes flashed sharply when he saw the first sacred emperor's mark vanish. The 2 immortal emperors at his left and right couldn't help but look worried. "Primal chaos, I didn't expect the ancient darkness world to act faster than we thought. We only have 100 years left." The young man in Taoist robe sighed. "Primal chaos, will the eternal immortal domains lose this time?" The incomparably beautiful middle-aged woman said worriedly. "Why are you panicking? We still don't know who will emerge victorious. Although there are only 3 of us left in the eternal immortal domains, we still have Ling Xiao. He's our only hope of turning defeat into victory." The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor looked at Ling Xiao with hope and expectation. "Me?" Ling Xiao was taken aback. Ling Xiao was worried when he heard the first sacred emperor's declaration of war. After all, the ancient darkness world's strength was far beyond his imagination. The eternal immortal domains didn't have much time left. Ling Xiao had just broken through to the immortal emperor realm. If he had enough time, he was confident that he could destroy the ancient darkness world. But now it was too difficult. "That's right. Ling Xiao, let me introduce you to these 2 Taoists." The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor smiled faintly. The young man in Taoist robes was the forefather of the Radiance Immortal Court, Di Xianxia. He was also the immortal emperor who had suffered from the 5 blights of heaven and man. The beautiful middle-aged woman was an itinerant immortal emperor called Yuan Yi. Both of them were immortal emperors who had condensed 7 primal chaos samsara seals. The strength of a 7 tribulation immortal emperor was extremely terrifying. The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor's cultivation gave Ling Xiao a strange feeling. It was as if he had fully recovered and become a 9 tribulation immortal emperor, but also as if he hadn't. Fellow Taoist Ling Xiao, your talent is unparalleled. As the disciple of the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor, you are indeed extraordinary. Di Xianxia smiled faintly. Greetings, fellow Taoists. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Ling Xiao, the success or failure of the eternal immortal domains depends entirely on you. Now listen carefully to our plan. The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor said seriously. With a wave of his sleeve, a mysterious chaotic boundary enveloped the 4 of them. The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor told Ling Xiao his plan. Ling Xiao was shocked by the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor's bold plan. Now that he thought about it, he realized that this was the eternal immortal domain's only chance at survival. After all, the current strength of the ancient darkness world was too strong. Putting aside the 9 great saint emperors, the first saint emperor was already a 9 tribulation immortal sovereign. The most mysterious sovereign venerable was once a 9 tribulation immortal sovereign. Based on the prediction of the primal chaos ancient immortal sovereign, even if the sovereign venerable had not completely entered the legendary realm, he was not far from it. If the eternal immortal domains only relied on the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor, Di Xianxia, Yuan Yi, and Ling Xiao, they would definitely lose. Only by carrying out this plan would they have a chance of survival. Alright, I agree. Master, I'll have to trouble you to take care of my parents, wife, and children. Ling Xiao said seriously before handing over a small world to the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor. Among them were his parents, wife, and children whom he had brought out from the untainted world. His journey was too dangerous. Only by leaving it to the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor could he be at ease. Don't worry. Unless I die, they will be safe and sound. The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor said with a smile. Thank you, master. I'm ready. Let's begin. Ling Xiao took a deep breath and said, boom. The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor's eyes showed a hint of seriousness. Darkness origin energy gushed out from his palm, and a dark scripture filled with chaotic colors appeared. Then, the dark scripture instantly fused into Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao's body trembled, and there was a hint of pain between his brows. However, he quickly regained his composure, and his entire body seemed to be shrouded in darkness. This was the origin of darkness. The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor had accidentally obtained the supreme cultivation technique of the ancient darkness world. The sovereign venerable emperor had cultivated the origin of darkness. Only by cultivating the origin of darkness could Ling Xiao transform himself into darkness and sink into it. Only then would he be able to turn the tide of the war in the future. This was the most crucial step in the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor's plan. Rumble. The origin of darkness in Ling Xiao's body grew denser and denser. Then he slowly sank into the sea of chaos and entered the deepest state of cultivation. Everyone, we have to do our best to buy time for Ling Xiao. The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor looked at Di Xianxia and Yuan Yi and said seriously, Don't worry, primal chaos ancient immortal emperor. Don't worry, primal chaos ancient immortal emperor. We will die without regrets. Di Xianxia and Yuan Yi exchanged a look. Their eyes flashed with determination, and they bowed at the same time. 100 years passed in the blink of an eye. News of the ancient darkness world's impending invasion had reached the top factions of the eternal immortal domains, including the immortal courts, ancient clans, everlasting families, and sacred lands. They had organized their experts to resist the invasion, and were refining all kinds of war treasures. However, most of the living beings in the eternal immortal domains were unaware of this. Everything was still peaceful and peaceful. However, those with a high cultivation base could sense that the eternal immortal domains had become filled with a somber atmosphere. Rumble. On this day, the sky above the eternal immortal domains shattered with a loud rumble. Boundless dark light poured down from the heavens like an ocean, dyeing the mountains, rivers, and lands of the eternal immortal domains black. An army of creatures of darkness, exuding a dark and eerie aura, descended from the heavens, their eyes cold and murderous as they attacked the living beings of the eternal immortal domains. Not good. The creatures of darkness are invading. The army of darkness is invading. Report to the city lord and activate the grand defensive formation. Son of a bitch will fight them to the death. Countless experts of the various races in the eternal immortal domains were stunned. They roared in fury, wanting to fight back. The invasion of the creatures of darkness was a distant memory, something that only existed in ancient texts. Who would have thought that it would actually happen today? They fought with all their might, trying to resist. However, their minuscule strength was as laughably small as ants in front of the vast torrent of darkness. Rumble. In a huge city, the light of the great city barrier array instantly dimmed. Then, it was swallowed up by darkness and completely disappeared. An ancient immortal kingdom hundreds of millions of kilometers across, home to hundreds of millions of people, was swallowed up by the sea of darkness. The eternal immortal domains had become a dark hell. Countless living beings wailed in agony, and countless experts died in battle. Blood sprayed everywhere, quickly turning black. The peace of the eternal immortal domains had been completely shattered. Chapter 35:22. The chaos of darkness had broken out. Within the eternal immortal domains and the 3000 Tao domains, darkness experts could be seen everywhere. Their armies swept through everything in their path, slaughtering everything they came across. Even the immortal courts, ancient clans, everlasting families, and sacred lands stopped their experts from fighting back. Even their secluded patriarchs were alerted and began fighting separately. Darkness creatures, I'll fuck your ancestors. A furious roar rang out. A half-immortal emperor old man, whose hair and beard were bristling and whose eyes were wide with rage, suddenly self-detonated. Several of the half-immortal emperors surrounding him were grievously wounded, and one of them was even blasted to death. Patriarch! Who can save us? No! Below, in ancient sacred land with millions of disciples that had flourished for countless years cried out in anguish. Then, the darkness creatures descended from the sky like a swarm of locusts, swallowing up the entire sacred land. Similar scenes were happening all over the eternal immortal domains. Even powerful immortal courts like the Creation Immortal Court, the Truth Immortal Court, and the Radiance Immortal Court were not spared. Hundreds of millions of miles of mountains and rivers had fallen. Countless experts retreated to the major immortal cities to make their final stand. The immortal cities' immortal formations had been activated, and powerful immortal emperor weapons and weapons of war were unleashed, slaughtering large numbers of darkness creatures. But the darkness creatures continued to swarm in like a swarm of locusts. Everyone was on the verge of despair. They couldn't see any hope of winning this war. Was the eternal immortal domains really going to be taken over by the darkness? Outside the eternal immortal domains, 10 figures with terrifying auras stood in the endless primordial chaos, exuding an aura of darkness. Their eyes were cold and blazing as they stared at the eternal immortal domains like hungry wolves eyeing a juicy piece of meat. Their leader was dressed in dark imperial robes and wore a crown on his head. His face was incredibly old, but the hellfire in his eyes seemed capable of incinerating everything. The other 9 dark immortal emperors looked at him with awe and fanaticism. The darkness sovereign, their lord, their king, and the essence of darkness. He'd once suppressed the primordial chaos immortal emperor, the most powerful being in the ancient darkness world. Many of the sage emperors had known him as the darkness sovereign when they were children. Years ago, the Darkness Sovereign had led countless darkness creatures and almost conquered the eternal immortal domains. Unfortunately, the eternal immortal domains had produced a shockingly talented primordial chaos immortal emperor who had fought an earth-shattering battle with the Darkness Sovereign. In the end, the Darkness Sovereign had been gravely injured and forced to return to the ancient darkness world to recover. Now that he emerged from seclusion, not only that, his cultivation base was even more terrifying than before, but he was even half a immortal emperor of the legends. They were confident that they would be able to wipe out the eternal immortal domains, and that the power of darkness would once and for all. After this battle, I will control everything transcendence. The Dark Sovereign's eyes were extremely sharp and filled with a blazing light. He had a feeling that as long as he won this battle, he would be able to break through to the legendary realm of eternity and immortality. Immortal domain. Rumble. Blazing immortal light surged and the heavens shook. 3 figures with terrifying auras flew out of the eternal immortal domains and blocked the Darkness Sovereign's path. They were the Primordial Chaos Immortal Emperor, Di Xiansha, and Primordial Chaos Immortal Emperor. So you're still alive, Primordial Chaos? There was a sharp glint in the Dark Sovereign's eyes. Why would I die if you're still alive? Sovereign, let's fight again today and compete for the title of Immortal Controller. The Primordial Chaos Immortal Emperor's eyes blazed with battle intent, not the slightest hint of fear. Fight again? What makes you think you're qualified to fight me now? Since you want to die, why don't I grant you your wish? The Darkness Sovereign sneered. If that's the case, then let's cut the crap. Fight. Unless you kill us all, you won't be able to take half a step into the eternal immortal domains. The Primordial Chaos Immortal Emperor's eyes flashed with unparalleled sharpness. Boom! Primordial Chaos Immortal Emperor's light surged like a heavenly river, sweeping across the heavens as a vast and mighty force erupted. He charged at the Darkness Sovereign. Di Xiansha and Primordial Chaos Immortal Emperor's eyes were filled with determination as they charged at the remaining 9 Darkness Immortal Emperors. They couldn't care less about the situation in the eternal immortal domains. They had to stop the Darkness Sovereign and the 9 Darkness Immortal Emperors to buy time for Ling Xiao. Therefore, the Primordial Chaos Immortal Emperor, Di Xiansha, and Primordial Chaos Immortal Emperor were ready to fight to the death, unleashing their most terrifying attacks. Kill! The Darkness Sovereign's eyes were cold as he gathered dark light in his palm and formed a dark scepter. It was as evil as a mountain as it came crashing down on the Primordial Chaos Immortal Emperor. Rumble! The heavens and earth shook as chaotic light surged. A fierce battle between emperors broke out in an instant. In the Chaos Sea, they started a battle of immortal emperors that swept through the heavens. The Primordial Chaos Immortal Emperor, Di Xiansha, and Primordial Chaos Immortal Emperor didn't want them to enter the eternal immortal domains. Therefore, the Darkness Immortal Emperors wanted to kill the 3 immortal emperors in the Chaos Sea. As the Primordial Chaos Immortal Emperor and the Darkness Sovereign fought, the remaining 9 Darkness Immortal Emperors surrounded Di Xiansha and Primordial Chaos Immortal Emperor. As the final battle between the eternal immortal domains and the ancient darkness world broke out, a mysterious figure snuck into the ancient darkness world without anyone noticing. The ancient darkness world. It was a vast and eternal universe that wasn't much smaller than the eternal immortal domains. However, darkness was the eternal theme here. Dark mountains, dark rivers, dark trees, dark palaces, dark demonic beasts, as well as dark creatures. Because the army of dark creatures was invading the eternal immortal domains, the entire ancient darkness world had become sparsely populated. Ling Xiao appeared in the ancient darkness world, his entire body dark and his aura sinister. Is this the ancient darkness world? What a strange power of laws. Ling Xiao's eyes were sharp and bright as he studied the ancient darkness world in front of him. He could feel that this ancient universe was repelling him. However, as he channeled the Origin Sutra of Darkness, the repelling feeling became weaker and weaker until it finally disappeared. His entire being seemed to have become one with the ancient darkness world. Ling Zhao's entire being had turned into a true creature of darkness. The Darkness Origin Palace should be in the center of the ancient darkness world. The battle has broken out, I must hurry. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he used a teleportation technique to move toward the center of the ancient darkness world. Chapter 35-23. The ancient darkness world was vast and boundless. It was in no way inferior to the eternal immortal domains. Although Ling Zhao had not sensed any immortal emperor's aura, he had sensed many quasi-immortal emperors and immortal kings. This meant that there were still many experts guarding the ancient darkness world, even after the dark creatures had sent out their army. This showed how strong the ancient darkness world was. Although Ling Zhao had cultivated the origin scripture of darkness, he still concealed his aura, not wanting to attract too much attention. If there were still dark immortal emperors guarding the ancient darkness world, it would cause a lot of trouble. Soon, Ling Zhao saw the dark origin palace. Rumble. From afar, endless dark divine light gushed out, thunder surged, and the void trembled violently. A huge black palace, 1,000,000 zhang tall, entered Ling Zhao's eyes. It was the dark origin palace. As soon as Su Chen saw the black palace, he could feel the source of darkness. It was as if the source of darkness of the ancient dark world in the primal chaos was this black palace. This was Ling Zhao's destination. Ling Zhao's figure flashed and landed in front of the dark origin palace. The two ancient black doors were tightly shut. Mysterious runes interweaved on them, and they emitted an incomparably dense dark aura. Ling Zhao activated the origin scripture of darkness, and the most fundamental dark aura around him erupted. He slammed his palm on the dark origin palace. Boom! The dark origin palace shook violently. The two ancient doors trembled slightly, as if a seal had been removed, before they slowly opened. But at this moment, Ling Zhao suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. His figure flashed, and at the same time he pushed out both palms. Peerless palm prints that seemed capable of shattering the heavens collided with a figure in front of him. The void trembled. Ling Zhao's figure flashed, swayed slightly, and steadied himself. The figure in front of him had also revealed his true appearance. I knew those despicable and shameless people from the eternal immortal domains would sneak in here. Boy, you're dead today. It was a dark creature in a black robe. His entire body was as black as ink, and his eyes seemed to blaze with ghostly fire. His aura was boundless and terrifying. It was a dark immortal emperor. At the same time, 3 figures flew out from the dark origin palace. Each of them had a terrifying aura. They were all dark immortal emperors. The 4 dark immortal emperors instantly surrounded Ling Zhao. 4 darkness immortal emperors? Ling Zhao's eyes glinted with sharpness. He already knew that the Darkness Sovereign was leading the 9 holy emperors to invade the eternal immortal domains, but he hadn't expected the ancient darkness world to be so powerful. He even left behind 4 dark immortal emperors to guard it. He was in big trouble now. Although Ling Zhao could escape, it was impossible for him to kill his way into the Dark Origin Palace with the 4 dark immortal emperors obstructing him. Rumble. But right at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Among the 4 darkness immortal emperors, a darkness immortal emperor with a murderous aura and a cold and cruel look in his eyes suddenly turned around. A black ancient sword emitted a monstrous sword light and instantly shrouded the other 3 darkness immortal emperors. Shadi, how dare you? Shadi, how dare you betray the dark world? Overlord won't let you go. Damn it, what are you trying to do? The other 3 darkness immortal emperors hadn't expected this turn of events. Their eyes were bloodshot, and they were both shocked and enraged. However, the sword light that was filled with murderous intent seemed to contain a special power that trapped the 3 dark immortal emperors, making them unable to escape for a while. Ling Zhao quickly entered the Dark Origin Palace. The Darkness Immortal Emperor suddenly turned around and said anxiously to Ling Zhao, "Shadi, good, take care of yourself." A trace of admiration appeared in Ling Zhao's eyes. Without any hesitation, he also charged into the Darkness Origin Palace. He had seen the Shadi's name on the Origin Heaven Dao stele before. Who would have thought that he had already fallen into the darkness and become the Darkness Immortal Emperor in this primal chaos epoch? Ling Xiao didn't know if he had chosen to fall into darkness and lay in ambush in the Dark Origin Palace, or if he had been forcibly converted by the Darkness Sovereign. But none of that mattered. At the last moment, the Shadi had chosen the eternal immortal domains. Ling Xiao was full of admiration for him. Rumble. As the gate of the Dark Origin Palace slowly closed, Ling Xiao heard the 3 Darkness Immortal Emperors roaring outside. Obviously, they had broken free from the Shadi's sword chi and were attacking him, venting all their hatred on him. Ling Xiao ignored the Shadi and rushed into the Dark Origin Palace. The Darkness Origin Palace was incomparably spacious. There was an ancient stone pool at the center where a pitch-black darkness aura gushed out like a pool of ink. It emitted an incomparably strange aura fluctuation as it bubbled. Is this the Dark Origin Palace? Ling Xiao was shocked. This was also his goal. The Dark Origin Palace was the birth of the dark creatures. Only by destroying the Dark Origin Palace would the dark creatures lose their source of power. Even the Darkness Sovereign and the Darkness Immortal Emperors would be greatly weakened. Only then would they have a chance of defeating the dark creatures. Standing in front of the Dark Origin Palace, Ling Xiao saw the dark spring water surging. The figures of Jin Se, Shui Wei, Changxing, his parents, and many others seemed to appear. The Dark Origin Palace exuded a seductive and depraved aura, as though it wanted Ling Xiao to sink into the darkness forever. The strange power was so strong that it could even shake the primordial spirits of the immortal emperors. However, the space between Ling Xiao's eyebrows shone brightly. An ancient origin source world tree flew out from it and slowly fell toward the Dark Origin Palace. Rumble. Just then, the Dark Origin Palace surged violently. A terrifying dark aura rose and instantly condensed into a cold and majestic figure in a dark emperor's robe. How dare you! His roar caused the entire Darkness Origin Palace to tremble. Darkness Sovereign, you're just a doppelganger. Do you think you can stop me? Today, I'm going to destroy the Dark Origin Palace. No one can stop me. Ling Xiao sneered. He was not surprised to see the figure in front of him. This was the doppelganger left behind by the Darkness Sovereign. After all, the Dark Origin Palace was an important place. Although it was guarded by the 4 Dark Immortal Emperors, the Darkness Sovereign was still worried. Therefore, he had left a doppelganger here. The Origin Source World Tree was the Dark Origin Palace's greatest nemesis. Seeing Ling Xiao take out the Origin Source World Tree, the Darkness Sovereign could no longer hold back. Ling Xiao, the darkness is eternal and indestructible. This world will eventually be covered by darkness. If you submit to the darkness, I will make you the first sacred emperor and the master of the eternal immortal domain. What do you think? If you're stubborn, don't blame me for destroying your spirit. The Darkness Sovereign stared coldly at Ling Xiao. Don't try to stall for time. Today, I'm going to destroy the Dark Origin Palace. Ling Xiao's eyes shone with an unparalleled sharpness, surging with a shocking desire to fight. Boom! Blazing immortal light exploded around him, causing the void to rumble. Without hesitation, he charged toward the Darkness Sovereign. Rumble! He activated the 36 Heavens Supreme Pagoda, releasing a dazzling light that suppressed the Darkness Sovereign. At the same time, an incomparably sharp ancient sword appeared in his palm. Sword chi swept across millions of miles, containing an indestructible aura. It slashed down at the Darkness Sovereign as well. The heaven-devouring sword. This powerful ancient sword had accompanied Ling Xiao for countless years. After Ling Xiao had broken through to the Immortal Emperor realm, it had been upgraded to the level of a supreme Immortal Emperor weapon. Moreover, it was in its peak state, and its power was unparalleled. It could even threaten immortal emperors. Rumble! Inside the Darkness Origin Palace, the blazing immortal light and the power of darkness collided, creating billions of huge waves that completely drowned the two figures. Outside the eternal immortal domain, The Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor, Di Xianxia, and Yuan Yi were fighting against the Darkness Sovereign and the 9 Dark Immortal Emperors. However, despite the Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor's unparalleled talent and combat strength, and despite Di Xianxia and Yuan Yi's desperate efforts, they were still at a disadvantage. If Di Xianxia and Yuan Yi had not self-destructed a few Immortal Emperor weapons, they would have been defeated. Even so, the 3 of them were covered in wounds, and their auras were chaotic. It seemed like they were about to be defeated. Primal Chaos, there's no hope for the eternal immortal domain anymore. Surrender. As long as you surrender to me, I'll make you the master of the eternal immortal domain. The Darkness Sovereign stared at the Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor and said indifferently, "Surrender to you? Who do you think you are?" The Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor sneered, his eyes blazing with battle intent. "You're courting death. Since that's the case, don't blame me." The Darkness Sovereign said indifferently, his eyes filled with murderous intent. Dark light surged around him, as if it was going to shatter the great cosmos, shatter heaven and earth, and destroy everything. A terrifying aura erupted, enveloping the Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor in front of him. "Oh no!" The Darkness Sovereign's expression changed, his eyes filled with shock and anger. "Primal Chaos, I didn't expect you to have such a trick up your sleeve. Are you trying to sneak up on the Darkness Origin? You've successfully angered me." The Darkness Sovereign said coldly. "The 9 of you, stop them. I'll be back soon. I don't think there's any need for the eternal immortal domain to exist anymore." The Darkness Sovereign stared at the other 9 sacred emperors and said, "Yes." The other 9 sacred emperors bowed at the same time. Then, the Darkness Sovereign wanted to tear open the void and return to the Darkness Ancient World. After all, the Darkness Origin was of great importance. Although the 4 Darkness Immortal Emperors and his avatar were guarding it, he still felt uneasy and wanted to return to take a look. "You want to leave? Stay here." The Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor sneered. "Bush, bush, bush." With a wave of his sleeve, the void trembled, and dazzling immortal light shone. 9 ancient and mysterious altars appeared in the Chaos Sea in an instant. Each of the altars had incomparably abstruse runes imprinted with a strange aura. They were ancient and mysterious. Soul Return. The Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor, Di Xianxia, and Yuan Yi Immortal Emperor looked extremely serious as they uttered cryptic words. Rumble. The 9 ancient altars shone with dazzling light at the same time, and 9 distorted figures appeared on the altars. The 9 figures exuded a terrifying aura, but they seemed to have broken through the barrier of time and space to appear in this world. Against the heavens, Yun Zhongjuan, Fei Lian. The Darkness Sovereign shuddered, and his eyes were filled with horror. He recognized all 9 of them. They were powerful immortal emperors who had been born in the eternal immortal domain for countless chaos epochs, but they had all fallen due to various reasons. The leader, against the heavens, was not inferior to the Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor. He was a figure from the previous chaos epoch and was known as the Eternal Heavenly Emperor. He had also touched the Supreme Realm. However, against the heavens had been severely injured by the Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor's scheme, and had died in the Chaos Sea. He had never thought that the Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor would use such a method to summon the 9 Immortal Emperors back. At that time, they were not the real 9 Immortal Emperors, but the supreme battle spirits that they had formed by breaking through time and space. After this battle, they would completely disappear from this world. Even so, they had still returned. Moreover, the terrifying battle prowess that a battle spirit could unleash was not much inferior to a true immortal emperor powerhouse. The Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor had schemed for this moment. He wanted to buy enough time for Ling Xiao to destroy the source of darkness. Fight. The Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor's voice boomed like thunder. Fight. Di Xuanxia's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Fight. Yuan Yi Immortal Emperor's eyes were filled with determination. Then, under the lead of the 3 Immortal Emperors, the 9 battle spirits charged toward the Darkness Sovereign and the other 9 sacred emperors. An even more intense battle broke out. Darkness Origin Palace. Ling Xiao and the Darkness Sovereign's clone were also engaged in a fierce battle. The Darkness Sovereign was indeed incomparably powerful. Although it was only a doppelganger, it still erupted with a terrifying and boundless combat strength. However, Ling Xiao's foundation was deep and profound. He also had the 36 Sky Supreme Pagoda, the Chaos Immortal Scripture, the Heaven Devourer Sword, and various other heaven-defying techniques. He was able to suppress the Darkness Sovereign for the time being. Their battle was extremely intense. It was as if the great cosmos was shattering and countless stars were falling. If it weren't for the Darkness Origin Palace being extremely sturdy and containing an ancient world, the Darkness Origin Palace would have been destroyed. Rumble. However, the Darkness Sovereign was only a clone after all. Under Ling Xiao's desperate attacks, his energy was quickly depleted. After Ling Xiao summoned the Origin World Tree, it instantly pierced through the Darkness Sovereign's body and took root in the Darkness Origin. Boom. 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 The Darkness Origin trembled violently. Endless dark light spewed out in an attempt to completely destroy the Origin World technique. However, the Origin World Tree seemed to possess an immortal and eternal energy fluctuation. It constantly devoured the Darkness Origin's energy like a stabilizing needle and continued to grow. At the same time, the Origin World Tree nourished waves of powerful origin energy that continuously fused into Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao's aura grew stronger and stronger, and his cultivation rose rapidly. Chapter 35-24. Damn it! Ling Xiao, how dare you destroy the origin of darkness? I'll make you sink into darkness and never reincarnate. The Darkness Sovereign let out an earth-shattering roar of rage. If his real body was here, no matter how strong Ling Xiao was, he would be able to easily suppress Ling Xiao. However, he hadn't expected Ling Xiao to possess not only extraordinary battle strength, but also the 36 Heavens Supreme Tower of the Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor. Most importantly, Ling Xiao had a mature Origin World Tree. The Origin World Tree was the source of all worlds, origins, and vitality. It was also the nemesis of the origin of darkness. However, an ordinary Origin World Tree was useless against the origin of darkness. Only a mature Origin World Tree that had merged with the origin of the undying world and possessed the aura of eternal perfection could restrain the origin of darkness. It could even take root in the origin of chaos and absorb the origin of darkness as nourishment to grow stronger and stronger. The Darkness Sovereign had been suppressed by the 36 Heavens Supreme Tower due to his carelessness, then pierced by the Origin World Tree. He'd taken root in the origin of darkness and started to devour it. The Darkness Sovereign could feel his clone's strength dwindling as the Origin World Tree continued to absorb it. He couldn't resist at all. Ling Xiao's aura continued to soar. Tribulation of life and destruction, calamity of chaos, epic of perfection, limitless life and death, nirvana shatter reincarnate. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged under the Origin World Tree, his body glowing with dazzling light. His aura and cultivation level skyrocketed. Ling Xiao was in a very strange state. He circulated the Chaos Immortal Sutra and Origin Scripture of Darkness. These two supreme techniques were originally opposites of darkness and couldn't coexist. However, under the Origin World Tree, a mysterious balance was formed in Ling Xiao's body. Half of Ling Xiao's body glowed with dazzling immortal light. It was dazzling and dazzling, opening up a chaotic universe and giving birth to countless living beings. The other half of his body was shrouded in endless darkness. It shattered the heavens and wiped out all life. His might suppressed the universe and plunged all life into darkness. He seemed to have fallen into a strange state of neither life nor death. It was in this state that his Chaos Immortal Sutra and Origin Sutra of Darkness began to fuse together, forming an unfathomable ancient seal within his body. Primal Chaos Samsara Seal. The Primal Chaos Samsara Seal was a mysterious imprint that only immortal emperors who had mastered the supreme heavenly Tao and experienced countless tribulations would be able to condense within their bodies. Originally, Ling Xiao only had one Primal Chaos Samsara Seal in his body. He was only a one tribulation immortal emperor. But now, with the Origin World Tree's nourishment, the Chaos Immortal Sutra and the Darkness Origin Sutra continuously fusing, Ling Zhao's speed of comprehending the Supreme Heavenly Tao seemed to have increased by billions of times in an instant. This was an unparalleled fortune. The Origin World Tree, the Origin of Darkness, the Chaos Immortal Sutra, and the Supreme Heavenly Tao recorded in the Origin of Darkness poured into Ling Zhao's body. Within Ling Zhao's body, mysterious primal chaos samsara seals were being formed at a speed visible to the naked eye. 1 Tribulation Immortal Emperor. 2nd Tribulation Immortal Emperor. A 3 Tribulation Immortal Emperor. Ling Zhao's aura became more and more terrifying and mysterious. His cultivation base was soaring in an unfathomable direction. Rumble. At this moment, the gate of the Dark Origin Palace suddenly opened. 3 Darkness Immortal Emperors with terrifying auras charged toward Ling Zhao. Their bodies were bathed in blood, and their eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. Their strength was extremely terrifying, especially the most powerful Darkness Immortal Emperor who had reached the 7th Tribulation Immortal Emperor realm. After suppressing Sha Di with great difficulty, they rushed into the Dark Origin Palace in an attempt to stop Ling Zhao. They immediately saw the Origin World Tree inserted into the Origin of Darkness. Ling Zhao sat cross-legged under the Origin World Tree, and his aura continued to soar. The 3 of them were so furious that their eyes were about to split apart. Their eyes were filled with monstrous flames of fury. Ling Zhao was digging up the roots of the ancient darkness world. Kill him! The 3 Darkness Immortal Emperors roared and charged toward Ling Zhao. Rumble! An incomparably terrifying dark aura instantly swept through the heavens. It contained a power that could shatter everything, and it enveloped Ling Zhao. At this moment, Ling Zhao suddenly opened his eyes. Strange black and white divine light shot out from his eyes. The 3 Darkness Immortal Emperors trembled. They felt as if they had fallen into a swamp and were surrounded by a terrifying domain. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, 3 mysterious branches extended from the Origin World Tree and pierced into the 3 Darkness Immortal Emperors' bodies at lightning speed. 3 agonizing screams were heard. They seemed to have lost all ability to resist. Their aura continued to shrink as the Origin World Tree sucked away the energy in their bodies. At this moment, the Origin World Tree had grown into a towering tree that was billions of miles tall. It exuded an eternal aura. Boom! The sturdy and eternal Dark Origin Palace exploded at this moment. The Origin World Tree soared into the sky and rushed toward the endless chaotic sea from the ancient darkness world. The entire ancient darkness world was alarmed. Everyone could see that the Origin World Tree that had taken root in the ancient darkness world was growing rapidly. Its aura was becoming more and more terrifying. The 3 Darkness Immortal Emperors screamed as the Origin World Tree pierced through their bodies and sucked away their energy. The chaotic samsara seals in their bodies were also extracted by the Origin World Tree and integrated into Ling Zhao's body. This allowed Ling Zhao to condense the chaotic samsara seals faster and faster. What's that? That looks like the legendary Origin World Tree. How can the Origin World Tree be so terrifying? Those 3 figures look like 3 Saint Emperors. How could they be pierced by the giant tree? Within the ancient darkness world, countless dark creatures revealed looks of shock and disbelief. Especially when they saw that the Origin World Tree had pierced through the 3 Darkness Immortal Emperors' bodies and was still extracting their strength. They were stunned. Rumble. Under the Origin World Tree, Ling Zhao's aura was mysterious and unfathomable. The 9 chaotic samsara seals gradually solidified and formed. Endless thunderbolts descended from the 9 heavens as chaotic light surged out. Behind Ling Zhao, there seemed to be universes being born one after another and then being destroyed by a vast force, completing a cycle of reincarnation. Ling Zhao sat cross-legged at the end of the myriad worlds. Endless universes were born and destroyed around him. Countless creatures were born and destroyed. He looked even more immortal and mysterious. 9 Tribulation Immortal Emperor. Ling Zhao's cultivation had broken through to 9 tribulation immortal emperor. Under the origin world tree, the origin of darkness had become extremely weak, as if it would soon be completely devoured by the origin world tree. It was because of the power of the origin of darkness that Ling Zhao had such a heaven-defying creation. The ancient darkness world rumbled as if it was going to be destroyed. The ground cracked, divine light spewed out, and flames surged. Countless dark creatures wailed as if the world was going to collapse at any time. The ancient darkness world was closely related to the origin of darkness. Now that the origin of darkness was about to be devoured, the entire ancient darkness world was going through an irreversible change. Ling Zhao, you deserve to die. At this moment, a flustered and exasperated roar exploded above the ancient darkness world. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook, and dark light surged. A figure with an incomparably terrifying aura soared through the sky, his eyes filled with monstrous killing intent. He wore a dark imperial robe, and his aura was boundless. His eyes were like ghostly fire dancing in them, majestic and mysterious. It was the Darkness Sovereign. He did not hesitate to use a secret technique and used his supreme divine power to severely injure the Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor and the others. He fought his way out of the encirclement and returned to the ancient darkness world. But he was still one step too late. He saw the ancient darkness world tremble violently, as if it would collapse at any time. He saw the origin world tree take root in the ancient darkness world and constantly devour the power of the origin of darkness. He also saw that Ling Zhao's aura was boundless and terrifying. It was as if light and darkness had merged into one. The Chaos Immortal Sutra and the origin of darkness had reached an incomparably mysterious balance in Ling Zhao's body. The Darkness Sovereign knew that the ancient darkness world was going to be finished. And all of this was thanks to Ling Zhao. His hatred for Ling Zhao could not be washed away by the Chaos Sea. Rumble. A terrifying and boundless aura radiated from the Darkness Sovereign. A majestic and mysterious black divine sword appeared in his palm. In an instant, it was surrounded by endless black flames as it slashed down toward Ling Zhao. The Darkness Emperor Origin Flame. This was the most powerful flame that the Darkness Sovereign had condensed within his body. It could burn the origin and destroy all things. It could even shatter the Chaos Samsara seal within an immortal emperor's body. Countless immortal emperors in the eternal immortal domains had been killed by the Darkness Emperor Origin Flame. The Darkness Sovereign hated Ling Zhao to the core, so he did not hesitate to unleash the Darkness Emperor Origin Flame, even burning his origin power, in order to kill Ling Zhao once and for all. Too weak. Ling Zhao's gaze was calm and indifferent. If this had been before, perhaps there would have been an earth-shattering and incomparably fierce battle between him and the Darkness Sovereign. But now, he only felt that the Darkness Sovereign was too weak. Rumble. Ling Zhao's feet trembled as the origin world tree shattered the last wisp of the origin of darkness. It was completely devoured and refined. The origin world tree blossomed with dazzling light that pierced through the ancient darkness world and the Chaos Sea, probing into an unknown realm. Ling Zhao's body glowed with dazzling light. The 9 Chaos Samsara seals were mysterious and unfathomable, showing signs of slowly merging into one. On the other hand, the Darkness Sovereign's body shook violently, and he spat out a mouthful of black blood. His aura weakened. Even though his cultivation had reached the pinnacle, he was still closely related to the origin of darkness. Ling Zhao had completely destroyed the origin of darkness, causing him unimaginable damage. Kill! Ling Zhao roared, his voice booming like thunder. He punched out. The unparalleled fist seal blossomed with dazzling light. The 36 Sky Sovereign Tower, the Heaven-Devouring Sword, the Chaos Immortal Scripture, and the Origin of Darkness all merged into the fist. Within the universe between heaven and earth. That unparalleled fist imprint had turned into eternity. The Darkness Sovereign wanted to resist, but one of his outstretched arms exploded with a loud bang. Then he maintained his posture of resistance. Dense cracks appeared all over his body, and strands of dark aura constantly gushed out. How How is this possible? The Darkness Sovereign's eyes were filled with confusion, jealousy, and sighing. Finally, it all turned into a faint sigh. Boom! His entire body exploded with a loud bang. After which, an illusory primal chaos reincarnation seal formed 9 layers within his body and slowly flew into Ling Zhao's body. In an instant, it merged with Ling Zhao's entire body. Rumble! Ling Zhao's body seemed to split the heavens and earth in an instant. Endless divine light exploded around him, and endless power of laws rose. Ling Zhao seemed to have returned to ancient times in a dream. He seemed to have experienced the endless universe and endless years in an instant. He saw through the past and future, and stood on the long river of time. He had become eternal. Is this the realm of the Chaos Controller? Ling Zhao slowly opened his eyes and sighed softly. His eyes were 9 colors, and his aura was mysterious and unfathomable. It was as if he had become an ordinary person, and there were no fluctuations of cultivation. It was as if he did not exist in this space-time, this sea of chaos, but he also seemed to be everywhere. Ling Zhao had transcended. He had surpassed the 9 tribulations immortal emperor, and reached the legendary realm that countless immortal emperors sought after, but no one had ever reached. That realm was called the Chaos Controller. He controlled chaos, time and space, the heavenly Tao, all things, life and death. He controlled everything. From now on, Ling Zhao only needed a thought to open up countless worlds like the eternal immortal domains, and give birth to countless living beings. After breaking through to the Chaos Controller realm, he also felt the insignificance of the Sea of Chaos. It was like a small puddle, and above the 9 heavens, there was an even vaster world. Boom! Ling Zhao's feet shook, and the ancient darkness world exploded. Countless dark creatures were reduced to dust, and the entire ancient darkness world ceased to exist. In the next moment, he appeared in the sky above the eternal immortal domains. The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor, Di Xianxia, and Yuan Yi were still fighting against the 9 dark immortal emperors. Ling Zhao casually waved his sleeve. The eyes of the 9 dark immortal emperors were filled with incomparable shock. They actually couldn't say a word. Then they were completely wiped out. This is the Chaos Controller realm? The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor trembled, and his eyes were filled with joy. Ling Zhao had finally reached the Chaos Controller realm. This meant that their plan had succeeded. However, the Chaos Controller's power was so great that even the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor could not help but gasp in amazement. Those were 9 dark immortal emperors, not 9 ants. Yet Ling Zhao had wiped them out with a wave of his sleeve. Moreover, they also felt that the ancient darkness world had completely disappeared. From now on, the eternal immortal domains was the only eternal world in the Sea of Chaos. The eternal immortal domains had become the center of all the worlds and universes. Greetings, Lord Chaos Controller. Di Xianxia and Yuan Ye were both excited and respectful as they bowed to Ling Zhao respectfully. You're welcome. The Sea of Chaos is still too small. Above the 9 heavens, the primordial universe, that's where we really need to go. Are you willing to follow me and conquer the primordial universe? Ling Zhao raised his head and looked at the 9 heavens as he said slowly. After reaching the Chaos Controller realm, he finally realized how small the Sea of Chaos was. The Sea of Chaos was like an isolated island, and above the 9 heavens, there was only the primordial universe, which was the center of the universe. Ling Zhao could even feel that there were existences who were not weaker than him there. That was the true vastness of heaven and earth. How dare we disobey your orders? Di Xianxia and Yuan Yi looked at each other. Their exhaustion was swept away and they burst into laughter. Their laughter was extremely carefree. Good disciple, it seems like this old man has to go to the primordial universe to find an opportunity to break through to the Chaos Controller realm. The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor said with a smile. Since that's the case, let's go. Ling Zhao smiled. Boom. He looked up at the 9 heavens and punched out. A peerless fist print pierced through the 9 heavens and broke through the layers of barriers. Above the Sea of Chaos, A huge fist print exploded and created a hole in the sky. Purple light shone from the sky, mysterious and unfathomable. It was the passage to the primordial universe. With a wave of his sleeve, Ling Xiao collected his old friends from the eternal immortal domains, including Yi Liangchen, Zhao Ritian, Di Hongluan, his parents, wives, and children, into the world of controllers he had created. Then, he shot up into the air and headed for the primordial chaos universe. The primal chaos ancient immortal emperor, Di Xianxia, and Yuan Yi followed closely behind. Ahead of them was an even more exciting journey. This trip would be a new legend, a brand new journey. That would be a different story. The end of the book, P.S. When she typed the words, the end of the book, Mu Yu heaved a sigh of relief. Originally, she only planned to write a few chapters about the exciting moments of Ling Xiao and the others in the eternal immortal domain. She did not expect to write more than 100 chapters. This year, because of the epidemic, work, family, and various other trivial reasons, Mu Yu could not devote herself to writing. Therefore, there were very few updates this year. Mu Yu was ashamed. However, the primal chaos ancient immortal emperor had spent more than 4 years and nearly 8 million words. Finally, there was a relatively satisfactory ending. Mu Yu could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Next, after the short new year, Mu Yu will release a new book. I believe that it will be incomparably exciting. Mu Yu has been thinking about it for more than a year. It will definitely be more exciting and interesting than the Primal Chaos Ancient Immortal Emperor's book. Finally, I wish everyone a happy new year. Thank you for your company. We will meet again if fate wills it. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.